It's time for high school baseball on KDAO. Tonight's game is brought to you by GNB Bank, Hanson Family Hospital, Ellsworth Community College. Now, high school baseball on KDAO.
Welcome in, everybody, here to Radio on the Go on YouTube here with KDAO as we are set for this Class 1A District Semifinal matchup. AGWSR on the road yet again to the city of Fort Dodge here at Harlan Rogers Sports Complex as they take on the St. Edmond Gales as the Cougars make the trip for the second time. And for AGWSR fans out there, the Cougars will play tomorrow as well, softball-wise, back here in Fort Dodge to, of course, take on, again, St. Edmond. So AGWSR made the trip here last Friday as I was with you here in Fort Dodge for their first trip against Colonesco in their first-round matchup. Now they're here in the district semifinals against the host of essentially that doubleheader as St. Edmonds had to win their matchup in the first round as well. They beat Glidden Ralston, that's right, a part of that doubleheader, as they both mercy ruled both of their squads. 10-0 was the finish for both of their quarterfinal matchups for AGWSR and St. Edmonds. So they face off here tonight. Winner of this matchup moves on to the district final. Now keep in mind, there's two districts a part of a sub-state, so winning the district championship will move you on to the sub-state final. If you win the sub-state final, then you are off to the state tournament. And just kind of clarify that, as sometimes, districts, sub-state can get a little confusing, especially with girls. They're a little bit different in the way that they run their tournaments and all that such. So just clarifying that, as St. Ansgar is actually the top of this sub-state per se in District 5. This is District 6, as St. Edmond is, I believe, the second seed a part of this district. Ankeny Christian sits at top of this district. In District 6, they'll take on Madrid at the same time, or Madrid, I believe. At the same time as this matchup takes place, they'll be playing over at North Polk Middle School baseball field. That will be going on at the same time. We'll see if we can potentially get a result for you on that matchup as this one happens and concludes today. At the other side of this bracket, a part of this sub-state number 3 here in Class 1A, St. Ansgar sits at the top of District 5. They'll take on Belmont Clemmy today, and then North Butler and Riceville will also compete all at the same time. If we get any of those results, I will surely share that with you before we get off air here today here on YouTube, a part of Radio on the Go. But appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have the starting lineups, and I'm sure the national anthem will get played, and then we'll get set to play some ball here in Fort Dodge at Harlan Rogers Sports Complex. Quick break back after this here on Radio on the Go on YouTube.
Navigating mortgages can be very complex. Start your journey with the lending team at GNB Bank. We're committed to getting you to your next home. We offer both fixed rate and adjustable rate mortgages to fit your specific needs. Our experienced lenders help guide you through the process. You can make payments or receive customer service at your local GNB Bank office. Whatever your dream home looks like, we'll point you in the right direction at GNB Bank.
Welcome back, everybody, here to Radio on the Go on YouTube. Set for AGWSR baseball tonight as they make the trip here to Fort Dodge at Harlan Rogers Sports Complex to take on the host team of St. Edmond Gales, based out of Fort Dodge, of course, St. Edmond Catholic High School. We'll get the starting lineups for you today. We'll start with AGWSR as they are the visitors here tonight. AGWSR, their starting lineups, batting first and leading off will be the starting pitcher tonight, number 3, freshman Clay Buseman. Batting second will be the first baseman, number 18, senior Bo Starr. Batting third will be third baseman, number 28, senior Tristan Dennis. Batting fourth will be the catcher tonight, number 20, sophomore Landon Dennis. Batting fifth will be the designated hitter, sophomore number 24, Rem Kearns. Batting sixth will be second baseman, junior number 6, Trace Eiton. Batting seventh will be center fielder, sophomore number 16, Carl Hoosier. Batting eighth will be shortstop number 7, freshman Lane Olson. And rounding out the batting order in the 9th spot is left fielder number 13, junior Brady Abbas. And in the outfield, in place of Rem Kearns, as he's the designated hitter, is Lane Rose. He is out in right field tonight wearing the number 12 and is a senior for AGWSR. Starting lineup for St. Edmond. Batting first will be center fielder number 2, senior Kinnick Henning. Batting second will be left fielder number 1, senior Grant Gales. Batting third will be pitcher tonight, number 5, freshman Blake Bartlett. Batting fourth will be the catcher, number 15, sophomore Colton Feveld. Batting fifth will be shortstop number 10, senior Jack McElroy. Batting sixth will be first baseman number 18, freshman Julian Blanco. Batting 7th in the DH spot will be number 11 senior Ethan Swisher. And in the outfield for him will be, actually in the infield, Griffin Lofferschweiler. He is out at second base tonight wearing the number 7. Batting 8th is right fielder number 13, senior Carson Barkfried. And batting 9th is third baseman number 9, freshman Garrett Royster. St. Edmonds comes in at 13 and 11, 5 and 9 in the North Central Conference. AGWSR at 13 and 12, 7 and 7 in the NICL Conference. Quick break for the national anthem, and we'll come back and get the top of the first inning here in Fort Dodge on Radio on the Go Sports on YouTube.
All Hanson Family Hospital clinics are now scheduling athletic sports physicals for middle, high school, and college students. This special is $38 for middle and high school students and $80 for college students if paid day of service. This special is not filed with insurance and payment must be at time of service to receive the discounted price. It does not include immunizations or any other services. Call your provider today to avoid the end of summer rush. Hanson Family Hospital and Clinics is healthcare you can count on.
Your 90s back on.
I want something else to get me through this. I don't know.
92.9.
KDAO FM.
Eldora, Marshalltown, and Grundy Center. Your 90s back on.
This is Rewind 93.
Rewind 93.
An on-the-go media station.
Welcome back, everybody, here to Radio on the Go Sports here on YouTube. Set for AGWSR baseball tonight. National anthem has been presented here in Fort Dodge, and we are set for the top of the first. AGWSR will be leading off tonight with Clay Buseman. He will be the starting pitcher. He has a .400 batting average. Clay Buseman, just a freshman, was the starting pitcher last game out here in Fort Dodge against Colonesco on Friday. Pitched a very good game. I think had 9 total strikeouts. I believe pitched for the first 3 innings. And they had, I believe Lane Olson came in as the other starting pitcher, the freshman for St. Edmond. Apologies about that, but AGWSR did have Lane Olson come in and pitch a very nice game as well, and I believe had 9 total strikeouts in a row for AGWSR, finishing off that Colonesco matchup. So very good pitching coming up on Friday for AGWSR. They'll look to have a similar result here tonight. Batted very, very well, of course, winning 10-0 after, I believe, 5 innings in that first game coming up on Friday. So going to be a tougher matchup, obviously, tonight, as expected, against St. Edmunds, but on paper they are very similar in terms of play style, in terms of their overall record, of course. AGWSR actually comes in with the better conference record at 7-7. St. Edmunds at 5-9, a part of the North Central Conference. We'll take a little bit more in-depth look at some of the teams a part of the North Central Conference if you're not necessarily familiar with that. As first pitch is underway, that's going to be just a little bit low for ball 1. Remember, this is starting pitcher tonight of Blake Bartlett. That pitch is going to find the zone off to the right as Buseman lays off. Blake Bartlett is third in the batting order for St. Edmund. Very good player, 413 average. And that one is going to be driven through past the second baseman, or past the shortstop and third baseman, and get into shallow left field. And that'll be a leadoff single for the Cougars, and a nice start for Clay Buseman's offensive performance today, as he'll get himself over on first base. This will bring up Bo Starr, the one of the big senior leaders for AGWSR. Had a really nice game last time out on Friday as well. Where is he? Number 18, first baseman, 388 average for Bo Starr. Looks like Buseman will head back to the dugout and have a courtesy runner over on first base for Buseman. As soon as we get that number for you, we'll allay his name. It's a little bit hard to see from this vantage point, kind of blocked off by the first baseman. We'll share that as soon as we get that information. First pitch will be just a little bit off to the left side and go for ball one. The starting pitcher tonight, Blake Bartlett, as I mentioned, is another freshman, so 2 freshman pitchers starting for both AGWSR and St. Edmond. We'll see if potentially Lane Olson will step in as well at some point during this matchup. Obviously, Buseman, the idea wanted to start him, get off well, and ended up, having the opportunity to rest him a bit after 3 innings and keeping him fresh for this matchup here tonight. Obviously, a very important matchup as they want to advance off to the district championship. And if you can beat a team like St. Edmond, confidence will be high. AGWSR is playing very, very well right now, and they want to continue that as far as they can. And a little bit of a reach of a swing on that one goes for strike 2 as we're at a 2-2 count. We'll take some in-depth look at both pitchers' stats coming up in the second inning. Runner on first after the leadoff single. 2-2 pitch is going to be called in the zone for strike 3. And a nice breaking ball pitch went bottom shelf as Bostar laid off as he is caught looking for the strikeout. It's good recovery there for Blake Bartlett as this will bring up Tristan Dennis, the third baseman. 408 average for AGWSR is the highest on the team for the Cougars. And he's going to take that first pitch. He's going to drive it into right field. Right fielder has a little bit of trouble tracking it down. That will drop. That's going to send runners to second and third. They're going to call him to stay at third. Third baseman coach had his hands up all the way, but that's a very nice double for the Cougars. Tristan Dennis nails that first pitch into deep right field. A little bit of trouble with the Carson Bargfried over in right field. Couldn't necessarily track it down. Eventually had it, but off to his left side from his vantage point and went and dropped deep into right field. And a great start here for AGWSR as Tristan Dennis gets himself a double. Runners over on second and third now. And again, we'll get that courtesy runner's name as soon as we get that information. Still a little bit tough to see his number out there. First pitch is down the middle for strike 1, as this is Landon Dennis. Landon is the catcher tonight. 326 average for Landon Dennis as a sophomore for the Cougars. Pretty even team in terms of youth and experience. Freshmen through seniors kind of all the way around. No 8th graders a part of the starting lineup for AGWSR. But pretty even all the way around. You'll have your fair share of pretty much every class part of the lineup. So quickly into an 0-2 count. It's Blake Bartlett trying to keep these runners stranded at second and third. Bartlett will deliver. This will be a ground ball to the third baseman. Oh, and a little bit of trouble with it. He'll throw it over to first, and it'll be off the bag. That's going to be able to score another run, and he'll advance over to second. He's going to actually round over to third as that ball took a weird bounce into foul territory, and he's going to get himself on third base. And this is a 2-0 start for the AGWSR Cougars. And St. Edmond's in early trouble here hosting tonight in Fort Dodge, as that is going to be ruled as an infield error, I believe. As, yes, on the scoreboard they are going to rule that. They do actually rule errors here on the scoreboard, so I'll be able to relay that information for you. So Landon Dennis gets himself a reach on first, but an advancement over to third off of the infield error as well. So just a huge at-bat for Landon Dennis and 2 RBIs for him. May not be credited technically with a base hit, but he is going to gladly take those 2 runs coming home, and he finds himself on third base. And we do actually have a courtesy runner as well, and apologies for not getting the information on the courtesy runner before, as he finds himself at home. But this one is a ground ball, takes a bounce off the mound. That's going to get through, and that'll be an RBI single. And that's actually going to keep going. That's deep into center field. He's going to round over to second, and he might go home. They're going to send him home. He's going to round third, and they're going to tell him to stay. And good call there from the head coach of Adam Clark. He's going to tell his base hit of Trace Eiton to stay over at third, and no errors of any sorts. That is going to be ruled as a base or as a hit for AGWSR and as a triple. Or excuse me, that's actually Rem Kearns. Apologies, I messed up a little bit on my batting order, so I just have to get adjusted to that. But that is a triple, an RBI triple of sorts And AGWSR off to a very, very hot start here in Fort Dodge, as this is 3-0 quickly for Rem Kearns, the designated hitter. 389 average for Kearns on the year, and he gets himself an RBI triple here in this first inning. That is 3 base hits from Clay Buseman with the leadoff single, Tristan Dennis with a double, a reach on first after an infield error of Landon Dennis, scoring 2 runs on a 2 RBI reach on error, and then now an RBI triple from Rem Kearns. But that took an awkward bounce from the pitcher's mound and ended up getting through, and then really had a lot of pace to it. So I think the center fielder wasn't necessarily anticipating that ball to come through, and just the positioning of it, however it happened, that ball just kept rolling and rolling, and that gave the opportunity for Rem Kearns to round all the way over to third base, getting himself an RBI triple. But what a hot start here for AGWSR. This offense is absolutely rolling here in the top of the first. That's going to be a wild pitch. That'll take a very generous bounce back to the catcher, almost immediately right back to him. So a runner will stay over at third with no hesitation at all to keep himself on the bag. This is Trace Heighton, the second baseman, 289 average, 1-1 count. Heavy swing goes for strike 2. Feels like AGWSR has definitely done their job, though, here in this first inning. Everything else is just kind of an added bonus. They definitely want to get that runner on third on home, as it is a courtesy runner. I got so distracted by everything going, I forgot to look up. Or no, yeah, that is Rem Kearns over on third base. That last courtesy runner, though, as that is a swing and a miss. That'll go for the strikeout, as Trace Heighton will strike out. That'll bring up Carl Hoosier. That courtesy runner, though, for AGWSR was number 30, as that is Kason Scallon. He was able to come home on the RBI triple, I believe, from Rem Kearns. We'll see if we can get potentially that courtesy runner again, and that's going to be another wild pitch. That runner will stay at third. It's very padded back of the diamond here, back behind the home plate. There's a lot of padding behind there, so whenever there is a wild pitch, a lot of times it's obviously fencing, and it'll kind of go dead as soon as it hits that fence. But with the padding, it's very much likely going to bounce of sorts, and if you hit it just right, it will bounce right back to the catcher. This one took kind of an awkward bounce to the left, but it's a little bit more favorable for the defense necessarily to not have any stolen bases home off of wild pitches. This is a 1-2 count for Carl Hoosier, the center fielder. He's going to put this one into play. It'll be a line out to the shortstop, as that's Jack McElroy making the grab. Had to take a few steps over to his right, but catches that pretty cleanly, as Hoosier will line out. But what a great start here for the Cougars, and a 3-0 start after the top of the first, as this will go for 3 runs after 3 hits, 1 infield error, and ends up leaving 1 on over on third base. But AGWSR off to a hot start. St. Edmunds will start their offense at the top of the order, of course, here in the bottom of the first. Kinnick Henning, Grant Gales, and Blake Bartlett will have their guaranteed at-bats. We'll take a short break. We'll be back after this here on Radio on the Go on YouTube.
Navigating mortgages can be very complex. Start your journey with the lending team at GNB Bank. We're committed to getting you to your next home. We offer both fixed rate and adjustable rate mortgages to fit your specific needs. Our experienced lenders help guide you through the process. You can make payments or receive customer service at your local GMB Bank office. Whatever your dream home looks like, we'll point you in the right direction at GNB Bank.
A wound that won't heal can slow your life down. But you don't have to face it alone. At Hanson Family Hospital's Wound Care Center, our specialized team of skilled clinicians provides the medical expertise needed to support the body's healing process, limit health complications, and speed up recovery time for non-healing wounds. With personalized treatment plans and compassionate care, we're focused on helping you heal and get back to what matters most. Call 641-323-2060 to schedule an appointment in Iowa Falls. Hanson Family Hospital is healthcare you can count on.
Well, offensively, you couldn't ask for anything more for AGWSR. Top of the first goes for 3 runs off of 3 hits, and just a very, very productive first inning so far for the Cougars. We'll see how they fared defensively against St. Edmunds. They'll lead off, of course, with their leadoff hitter of Kinnick Henning as they start their offense for the Gales of St. Edmund. Remember, St. Edmund is a Catholic school based out of here in Fort Dodge. This is their home diamond here at Harlan Rogers Sports Complex. That pitch is going to go high and a quick 2-0 count. This is starting pitcher Clay Buseman. He started last game for AGWSR on Friday with a big win over Colonesco. Also saw the likes of Lane Olson, I believe, in the pitcher's mound. Might see him potentially a little bit later. We'll see how the rest of this matchup goes, obviously, but it's a hot start here for AGWSR. Ankeny, a .239 average on the leadoff hitter. The center fielder takes that pitch. It's going to find the zone for strike 2 after that last pitch went off to the left for foul ball. So a quick 2-2 count. Clay Buseman, he'll get set, deliver, swing and a miss for strike 3, and a good start here for pitcher Clay Buseman as he'll get the strikeout on the leadoff hitter of Ankeny. This will bring up Grant Gales, the left fielder, spelled differently from Gales of the nickname of St. Edmonds. Grant Gales spells it Galles. Gales, the nickname, Gaels. Not to be confused with the two. First pitch up, that's going to be knocked down. That'll be fair, scooped up from the first baseman. Nice cover there. He'll step on the bag with ease for the first out. That's Bo Starr sliding in. Not too terribly difficult of a play to make, but was there in time. Ball put into play with not too much pace, so a nice handle from Bo Starr on the out as Gales will ground out on that first pitch. So 2 up and 2 down. Blake Bartlett next up to bat, the starting pitcher tonight for the Gales. .413 average for Gales on the season. I believe the highest batting percentage so far on the year for St. Edmond. First pitch did go wild, and the second pitch is actually going to hit the batter of Blake Bartlett. Got away from Buseman that time and just hit the shoulder. Kind of took it like a champ, though. No real reaction as Bartlett will walk on over to first, but he'll quickly walk back to the dugout as he is the starting pitcher tonight, so they will put in the courtesy runner over on first base. That is Jackson Calvert over on first, serving as the base runner now over on first base after the hit by the pitch walk. So this will bring up Colton Feveld. Throw back over to first. Not much of a challenge. He's going to be back and safe. Just kind of keeping the runner honest, obviously. Oh, and has to duck out of the way a little bit from that pitch. Avoided getting hit. Buseman just trying to find his footing again. Started off well with a strikeout, then a first pitch ground out over to the first baseman, then a hit by the pitch walk. So just trying to find the zone again. That's going to be hit nicely over into right field, I believe in foul territory, and it will drop in deep right field foul territory for foul ball. That'll bring him back to home plate and a 1-1 count. Clay Buseman has kind of an interesting approach to his pitching stance, just kind of a very quick, kind of almost like a flick of a motion when he pitches. Kind of has that windup, kind of raises that arm a little bit, and then it's a very twitchy delivery when he delivers to the zone. That one went off in foul ball. Count will remain at 2-2. So 2-2 count. Runner over on first after the hit by the pitch walk. Swings for that one, goes up and over past home plate for foul ball. Colton Feveld, .343 average like I mentioned. A lot of RBIs, believe the most RBIs on the team, 25 total for the Gales. Oh, check that swing. That is going to go for strike 3. It is a wild strike 3. And the runner will reach. Oh, they're going to catch the base runner. In between second and third, they're going to be doing a little bit of back and forth running, and they're going to eventually tag out the runner. Nicely done from the infield defense. As Colton Feveld, he's technically going to strike out, and he was able to reach over to first, but with a runner getting caught between second and third for the courtesy runner of St. Edmonds, that's going to be the third out. So really nicely done there from catcher of Landon Dennis. He was able to throw it over, I believe, to Lane Olson over at the shortstop as he was covering second, and a little bit of a slip there from the courtesy runner, and he ends up getting caught in between second and third, and it was only a matter of time with a little cat and mouse game, and eventually it tags the runner out. St. Edmunds will end this inning with no runs, no hits, no errors, and ends up leaving one on technically, with the base runner getting tagged out in the reach off the drop strike 3 in that last at-bat from Colton Fevelt. So that'll retire the first inning. AGWSR will go 8-9-1 in their order. At the top of the second, they'll go Lane Olson, Brady Abbas, and Clay Buseman. They'll have their guaranteed at-bats. Quick 30-second break. We'll be back after this here on Radio On The Go Sports on YouTube. Top of the second inning coming up here on Radio On The Go Sports. Here on YouTube, appreciate you guys tuning in here for some AGWSR District Baseball. It's been a really nice start here for the Cougars tonight here on the road in Fort Dodge over at Harlan Rogers Sports Complex. It's a 3-0 start, as you can see here on YouTube. Top of the second inning, leading off with Lane Olson. They'll go 8-9-1 at the start of this order here. Lane Olson, the shortstop, 278 average for the freshman. Whereas the number 7, Olson will move it a little bit out of the way from that pitch. That'll go for ball 2. AGWSR wearing kind of the light purple, magenta of sorts jerseys. Their numbers, I believe, in that kind of dark blue as well. Outlined in white, actually. So it is magenta with dark blue, navy blue numbers outlined in white. Olson has a nice crack over into right field. Right fielder, nice cover. He'll make the grab. Nice outfield defense there from Carson Bargfried. He'll make the grab. That was going to drop fair, too, I believe, just right on that right field line. But a nice attempt there from Lane Olson as he'll make some solid contact as he will fly out into deep right field. Definitely had a chance to potentially drop there, but nice outfield defense from Carson Bargfried. That'll bring up Brady Abbas, the left fielder. Abbas is going to show bunt. He will lay that down to the pitcher. He'll scoop it up, throw over to first. Will be in time for the second out. So bunt will be unsuccessful for Brady Abbas, trying to get himself on base. And that will quickly be a 2 up and 2 down. This will bring up Clay Buseman, the starting pitcher tonight. Buseman is with a 400 average, had the leadoff single. Got things started right for AGWSR in that first inning. Not so much here, obviously in a bit of an awkward spot in the order at the 8-9-1 turn. As this pitch will find the zone for strike 1 as Buseman lays off. This innings kind of flew by here a little bit with 2 up and 2 down. We'll still try and take a look at some of the stats here for Blake Bartlett. Bartlett is a freshman. This is his 9th start on the season. Batting average against of 278. He has the highest pitch count on the team of 640. He's allowed 28 runs on 45 hits. He's had 44 total strikeouts, which is the highest on the team, and an earned run average of 3.59. So this is one of their star pitchers here for St. Edmunds. Have a couple of others that can definitely step in if need be. This is going to be driven into center field, and that will drop for Clay Buseman, and another hit for the starting pitcher tonight, and he's had a very nice night overall. And that's 2 singles for him on the day as he stays perfect. And that will put himself over on first. He will head back to the dugout. This will be courtesy runner number 21 for AGWSR. We'll get his number, or get his name for you here real quick, as I believe that's who I would imagine would have been the courtesy runner for him the first time on the leadoff single. Couldn't quite make out his number the first time around. But that'll put runner on first. It'll bring up Bo Starr. Bo Starr Ended up striking out in his first at-bat. Looks to do better here. The runner's going to go. It looks like he's going to get caught, but and a drop ball going into second base as the courtesy runner for AGWSR, as I'll have his name here in just a quick second, will be a successful steal over to second base. Looked like he was definitely going to get caught, but second baseman ended up kind of fumbling that throw into second a little bit and ended up going behind. This is Braden Scallon over now on second base. So Braden Scallon, the courtesy runner for AGWSR. Bostar, heavy swing at that pitch, but just got a piece of it. Goes off foul ball for strike one, I believe. So it's a 1-1 count. Two down, runner over on second. Blake Bartlett delivers. That's going to be just a bit low for ball two. A couple of freshman starting pitchers tonight alongside Clay Buseman and Blake Bartlett. Bartlett just trying to recover a little bit from that first inning. Trying to get out of here quickly with 2 up and 2 down, but Buseman gets himself on base with that single. Now with the courtesy runner, he's going to go over to third. That'll be a base hit for Bostar. That should send the run home. Throw into the catcher will not be in time, and that'll be a safe run home for AGWSR, and a great delivery there from Bostar, the first baseman. He'll get himself an RBI single, and ultimately a very important steal over to second, as that is going to be able to send the run home of the courtesy runner of Braden Scallon. He'll get himself home for the second time tonight, as Clay Buseman was who to thank for putting him on base after his single in the first and second inning. So that will bring up Tristan Dennis, the third baseman, is the best statistical batter, a part of AGWSR, with a .408 batting average. Dennis is going to let that one go. It's going to be too low. Go for ball one. Tristan Dennis, as I mentioned before, .408 batting average, .505 on-base percentage, has 15 RBIs, which is tied with 3 other players among the team for third place. Tristan Dennis does have 1 home run on the year. Runner's going to go into second base. Looks like he's going to get caught, and that time, nice successful play, catching the runner stealing over to second base. And that will end the top of the second. Dennis, I believe, will gets his at-bat back at the top of the third inning, but the base runner does get caught stealing of Bostar, I believe. He did not have a courtesy runner, so Bostar gets caught stealing. That first steal attempt as well, off of Clay Buseman's single, that was definitely going to be in time as well, but it was just some trouble with the catch going over to second base. Second baseman just kind of fumbled the catch a little bit, went in behind and was able to have the runner safe. But St. Edmond's definitely shown from their catcher of Colton Febble. He's got a really nice arm, and he's going to be able to sling that in there over to second base. And if AGWSR doesn't have the speed or they don't time it right, they are going to get caught stealing quite a bit. So they do have to keep that in the back of their mind. But that risk paid off from that first steal off of Clay Buseman's single, as that was number 21, Braden Scallon, able to get over to second and ultimately sent home from Bostar RBI single. So that'll take us to the bottom of the second inning. We'll keep it right here as St. Edmond will go 5, 6, 7 in their batting order. They'll have Jack McElroy, Julian Blanco, and Ethan Swisher. That will be their guaranteed at-bats here in this second inning. Clay Buseman not allowed a hit just yet, but 2 strikeouts technically to his name. That second strikeout was a drop strike 3 and a reach on first, but the runner ends up getting caught, or the other runner, I should say, that was over on second. He gets caught kind of rounding second, maybe going over third, wanted to come back, but ends up slipping up a little bit, and the throw back home from the catcher of Landon Dennis was able to catch him in between second and third, and ultimately he was tagged out. As that brings us here to the bottom of the second. First pitch is going to get popped way up into the infield. Shortstop of Olsen will be under it, and it makes the grab with no problem. Lane Olsen will make the grab for the first out on an infield flyout. That will bring up Julian Blanco, Jack McElroy, as he flies out in the infield on that first pitch. This will bring up Blanco, the first baseman, 254 average for the freshman. Blanco wears the number 18. First pitch delivery, that will find the zone for strike one as Blanco lays off. Very quickly, I think St. Edmond has kind of been hit in the mouth of, sort of say, expression-wise, obviously, from AGWSR's heavy offense. And that second inning was a really nice job to at least get a run out of it after the slow start with a 2 up and 2 down. AGWSR was still able to turn that into a 1-run inning here on this 4-0 start. So St. Edmond, the pressure definitely on as AGWSR seeing it very, very well offensively right now. And St. Edmond will have to definitely rally up some runs, preferably here in the second or third inning, to get themselves at least some confidence and get themselves back into this game once they reach back to the top of the order especially. 1-2 count. No one on base after the infield flyout. Buseman delivers. Swing and a miss for strike 3, as Buseman will have his third strikeout of the night. And strikes out Julian Blanco. That'll bring up Ethan Swisher, the designated hitter, 226 average. Swisher wears the number 11, is a senior for St. Edmond, apologies. Very different. St. Edmond, a Catholic school based out of here in Fort Dodge. Lived here in Fort Dodge for roughly a year and a half. I always used to say 2 years, but technically it wasn't because of COVID. Was during my graduation year, so I actually had to go back home for, I think it was just my 4th term. I think I spent, because it was right in the spring, right? So it was it was basically 2 years. We'll call it 2 years, roughly. But worked at Fairway for a good amount of time, and lots of St. Edmond kids work at Fairway up here in Fort Dodge. So I was able to meet plenty of St. Edmond's kids alongside my time at Fairway here in Fort Dodge. So know it very well. This is the home of St. Edmond baseball-wise here at Harlan Rogers. Also the home of Iowa Central Community College as well for baseball. Also serves for softball, I believe, of course, and also soccer. Soccer plays here at Harlan Rogers. Done many broadcasts for Iowa Central Soccer up here at Harlan Rogers. Count is up at 1-2. Ethan Swisher checks that swing. It's going to be outside, though, for ball 2. Good eye there from Swisher. Swisher, a 226 average, 369 on-base percentage. Has a couple of doubles and 17 singles and 9 RBIs on the season. 2-2 count. He's going to reach low for that one. Does put it into play. Scooped up from Starr over on first base. It will run over to the bag, and he will get the out in time. Nicely done from the infield defense of Bo Stars. He will get Ethan Swisher out over on first, so Swisher will ground out. 3 up and 3 down on infield flyout, strikeout, and a ground out. Goes for no runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on, as it is 4-0 after 2 innings. Cougars off to a hot start, looks to keep it going at the top of the third. They will lead off, I believe, back with Tristan Dennis. Then it'll be Landon Dennis and Rem Kearns. They'll have their guaranteed at-bats back here on Radio On The Go Sports on YouTube.
Your 90s back on.
I want something else to get me through this.
I don't know.
92.9.
KDAO FM.
Eldora, Marshalltown, and Grundy Center. Your 90s back on.
This is Rewind 93.
Rewind 93.
An on-the-go media station.
Navigating mortgages can be very complex. Start your journey with the lending team at GNB Bank. We're committed to getting you to your next home. We offer both fixed rate and adjustable rate mortgages to fit your specific needs. Our experienced lenders help guide you through the process. You can make payments or receive customer service at your local GNB Bank office. Whatever your dream home looks like, we'll point you in the right direction at GNB Bank.
Tristan Dennis, back at his at-bat, is going to drive that second pitch deep into right field, and ultimately will be caught as the right fielder is under it pretty handily of Carson Bargfried, as he'll make the grab. As, remember, Tristan Dennis was the current at-bat as the runner was caught stealing from first to second, so kind of a reset of an at-bat, sort of say. But Dennis will ultimately fly out into right field. That'll bring up Rem Kearns. Rem Kearns takes that first pitch. It is in the zone for strike one. Rem Kearns, Landon Dennis. I messed up on my stat sheet, so to say, in writing in the batting order, and I have made the adjustment since, but I can't physically replace it, so I just have to make sure I see what my little notes said. But yes, this is Landon Dennis, the catcher tonight. 0-2 count quickly, but Dennis is going to knock that into shallow left field. That will drop for a base hit. Nicely done there from Landon Dennis. As last time out, he had the 2 RBI reach on first after an infield error. This time, no debate. That will be a base hit. And his first hit of the night for Landon Dennis. And a great start here again for AGWSR. After the flyout, Dennis makes up for it. Gets himself on base with a single. That'll bring up Rem Kearns. He had the RBI triple in his last at-bat. Here's a quick conversation between starting pitcher and catcher Blake Bartlett and Colton Febble. Rem Kearns, designated hitter tonight. Rem, of course, is short for Remington. More commonly goes by Rem, though. Sorry for using his government name, per se, if he doesn't prefer that. But that is his technical name, of course, but more commonly goes by Rem. Showing bunt is Kearns. He's going to back off from that bunt shown, though. He'll check his swing. It'll go in the zone for strike 2, I believe. No, just strike 1. So a 1-1 count. That board operator quick on those strike and ball calls. 1-1 count with the runner on first after the single from Landon Dennis. Kearns is going to get a piece of it. Goes off and foul. Back behind the fence. Count goes up to 1-2. One and two count. Bartlett will take his time here. And eventually time is called. Kearns will step off just for a quick second as he'll reset. Kearns a left-handed hitter for AGWSR. Bartlett now back and set. He'll deliver. Check that swing. I don't believe he went over. He does keep it behind the plate. Nice check there from Kearns as it is outside for ball 2. Very close to being over the plate that time, but Kearns holds back as this will be a 2-2 count. Runner over on first with just 1 out, so AGWSR well in range to put some more scoring on the board here in this 3rd inning. Heavy swing that time from Rem, but can't make contact for strike 3. As Blake Bartlett gets his, I believe, 3rd strikeout of the night. As this will bring up Trace Eiton, the second baseman. Eiton, a junior. 289 average, struck out in his last at-bat. Similar scenario now with the 2 outs. So sacrifice no longer in play. Runner has not made any attempt or even showing really. The steal is going to be coming in for Landon Dennis. So AGWSR will have to get him over there to second. Kind of on their own. Dennis is not really a base running threat of sorts. He has only attempted once before all season and was unsuccessful on that one attempt. So base stealing not really a threat here for Landon Dennis. Count is a 1-1. One delivery. That'll be called outside to the right for ball 2. Trace Eiton with 15 RBIs, tied with 3 other players for 3rd place on the team. Has 2 doubles and 20 singles. And is going to reach for that one, put it into play. A little bit of trouble with it with the first baseman, but he's able to scoop it up and find his footing, step on the bag for the 3rd out. So that's the first time tonight AGWSR has been scoreless here in an inning as they go for no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on as it is 4-0 going into the bottom of the 3rd. Say Edmond desperately looking for some offense here and get themselves on the board, trying to find some confidence and find some flow in this game offensively. Yet to record a hit through 2 innings, and nobody except Bartlett's on walk was able to get anybody on base of sorts. There was a reach on first after a strike 3, but ultimately tagging out one of the base runners. So it's been a struggle for St. Edmond. We'll take a quick 30-second break. We'll be back after this for the bottom of the third here on Radio on the Go Sports on YouTube.
All Hanson Family Hospital clinics are now scheduling athletic sports physicals for middle, high school, and college students. This special is $38 for middle and high school students and $80 for college students if paid day of service. This special is not filed with insurance and payment must be at time of service to receive the discounted price. It does not include immunizations or any other services. Call your provider today to avoid the end of summer rush. Hanson Family Hospital and Clinics is healthcare you can count on.
Welcome back here to Fort Dodge, a part of this district semifinal matchup here in Class 1A. Just to kind of recap, if you're just potentially joining us or joined us a little bit earlier, part of this broadcast, this is a district semifinal here in Class 1A, as I just mentioned. This is district number 6, a part of Sub-State 3, I believe. Winner of this matchup will move on to the district final. They'll take on the winner of Ankeny Christian and Madrid. Always want to call it Madrid, obviously, for obvious reasons. Oh, there was a nice scoop up from a base, or a ball put into play, but the second baseman's there, but ultimately loses it, trying to attempt the throw over to first base, and that will have St. Edmond safe over on first. Trying to see if they potentially ruled that as an error. And yes, they are going to rule that as an infield error, as as Carson Bargfried gets himself on first with the infield error. And I am going off of the official scoreboard here tonight, so this is not on my personal opinion of errors and hits. As it was ruled an error from the infield, that was second baseman Trace Eiton. Made a nice play, kind of slid in, made the grab, but ultimately trying to find his footing and making the throw as he was kind of getting himself up. The ball kind of popped out, and he wasn't able to even really attempt to make that throw over to first as he had too much trouble with it. So Bargfried ends up being safe over on first base. There was a slight contact there with the catcher of Landon Dennis. He's actually shaken up a little bit as that went for foul ball. I think that kind of hit Dennis awkwardly, and I'm not actually sure where. I thought potentially it was somewhere in the mouth of sorts as it kind of bounced up towards his helmet, but he's kind of shaking it off, and I think he'll be okay as Dennis is back in set. Quick conversation with some of the umpires and the infield defense of AGWSR. But this is Garrett Royster, the third baseman, after that initial foul ball. So that went off the bat of Royster, and I think hit the catcher of Landon Dennis of sorts. That's where that brief stoppage came into play. So Royster back into the batter's box. He has the runner on first after the infield error. Oh, that pitch got way away from Clay Buseman there. Good cover, though, from Landon Dennis, able to get on top of it. Keeps that runner over on first. Clay Buseman will reset. Buseman will deliver. That one's going to be high, called for ball 2. So it ends up being a 2-1 count. First at bat of the night for Garrett Royster. Wears the number 9, is a freshman, 298 average, 411 on-base percentage. Runner is going to go. It's going to be put into play. It'll take a slight bounce off the mound, and it's going to be called safe over on second. And the runner will be safe on first on the throw attempt. That is going to be ruled a base hit for St. Edmond, and the first hit of the night for the Gales, as Garrett Royster will gain himself a base hit. And that was, I believe again, of Trace Eiton. He had the initial cover of second base. It took kind of an awkward bounce again off the pitcher's mound, but it was right to the second base, and he had the foot on the bag, but as he was coming in to make the grab, he kind of dropped it and went down of sorts, had his foot on the bag eventually, but the runner ended up being safe on second, but he was kind of waiting for that ruling and then threw it over to first, but it was not going to be in time as the runner safely on first of Garrett Royster. That takes us back to the top of the order with Kenneth Henning. Henning, the center fielder, the leadoff hitter, has runners on first and second. This is a big spot here for St. Edmunds. Heavy swing and a miss for strike 2 here on an 0-2 count. Still a big spot, though, with no outs. Had the reach on air and now a base hit. Puts runners on first and second. Definitely the best chance St. Edmund has had all night to get some runs home. Pitch is going to be off to the right side. Nice cover again there from Landon Dennis, keeping the runners safe over on first and second. So Buseman just trying to settle back in here. He's had a nice night so far today. And a heavy swing and a miss for strike 3. A nice pitch there from Buseman as that broke down. Bit of a changeup pitch that time, I think, as Henning will strike out. As that will bring up Grant Gales, the left fielder. Grounded out in his last at-bat. Big spot here for Gales, left-handed batter. Runners on first and second with just the 1 out. Gales is sent. Buseman will look. Now he'll deliver, trying to find that zone. Just going to be called a little bit outside. That was a tough one, though, as that will be called for ball 1. 1-0 count here. Very, very big spot. Definitely the most important at-bat of the game so far for St. Edmunds. A little trouble with it from the catcher. It's right below his feet. Couldn't locate it at first, but the runners are not going to settle at all, or make the attempt at all to get over to first or get over to either second or third on the steals, as they'll stay put. So 2-0 count. And swings it low for that one. Just got a piece of it as it goes back behind for foul ball, as that will get called for strike 1. Next count 2-1. Just got a piece of that one. As you can hear the light tap on the heavy swing. Runners are Carson Bargfried over on second. Garrett Royster over on first after the reach on air and a base hit from Royster. And again, Grant Gales will take that pitch. You could say 3-1 count. Here's a very important pitch coming up. One of the better players and better hitters of Grant Gales. .365 average. Definitely an ideal spot here for St. Edmunds to get back into this game. That'll be driven deep into left field. Left fielder's going to cover it. He'll make the catch. Runners will have to tag up, but they'll stay put. Nicely done in the outfield. That's left fielder Brady Abbas making the catch, and a very important defensive play there for AGWSR. Definitely the biggest defensive play of the night for the Cougars, and that was nicely tracked down deep into left field. That was a good attempt, though, from Grant Gales, as he ultimately will fly out into left field. That'll bring up Blake Bartlett. He got hit by the pitch in his last at-bat. Starting pitcher tonight is the statistical best hitter on the team with a .413 average, so still a pretty good spot, but now with 2 outs, sacrifice no longer in play. Puts a lot more pressure now here on St. Edmund to deliver here with Bartlett. Like I mentioned, Bartlett has the highest batting average on the team with .413, has the second most RBIs with 24 on the season so far. Bartlett's going to let that first pitch go. It'll go low for ball 1. Bartlett just a freshman, but has definitely made a huge impact, a part of here at St. Edmunds. Has 4 home runs on the season as well, 2 triples and 6 doubles with extra base hits. 1-0 count. Bartlett checks that swing. It'll go low again for ball 2. Buseman's got to be very careful here, pitching to the star player of St. Edmund, of Blake Bartlett. Has home run capability as well, so that can make Buseman's decisions and kind of strategy going into this at-bat very, very different versus kind of just a normal, typical one. That's a slider delivering very low and outside of range for ball 3. You can definitely tell that Buseman's trying not to challenge too heavily into the strike zone. You don't really want to load the bases up either. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It'd be a force out on every plate, but obviously you would bring up Colton Feveld, another very good player with bases loaded. He would technically be the tying run at the plate. So it's a tough call here, whether you want to challenge heavily or not. Buseman's going to try and get him to reach a little bit. Doesn't take the bait. And a nice breaking ball off to the bottom right corner, but a good at-bat for Blake Bartlett. And he'll get himself on base with a walk on a 4-0 count. So didn't want to challenge Bartlett too much. I think they'll take their risk here with Colton Feveld. Very good player as well, though. With Colton Feveld, sophomore, has a .343 average, .464 on-base percentage, has the most RBIs on the team with 25. Does have a home run to his name, 3 triples, 3 doubles with some extra base hits. He's going to put this one down the third baseline, goes off foul for strike 1. So it's force out at every bag. That is the advantage here for the Cougars, but St. Edmunds has runners on every bag with bases loaded, and they very much at least want to get maybe 1 or 2 home and open up the scoring here tonight for the Gales. That's going to be a wild pitch of sorts, but it's going to take a weird kind of bounce off to the left side. It is going to be enough to cover for Landon Dennis. Runners will stay put, specifically over on third base, as that is Carson Bargfried. Not sure if we got a courtesy runner or not for Bartlett. I don't believe we did. Bartlett is over on first. He had a courtesy runner last time he got on base. This time he will be doing the base running duties. 1-1 count. Heavy swing and a miss for strike 2. Makes it a 1-2 count. Very, very important at bat here for the way the rest of this game is going to go. This is the heart of the offense for St. Edmund. Bases are loaded. They're in desperate need of some scoring to open up. 1-2 count. Check that swing. Throw over to first. It's going to be close. Back to the bag. He's going to be safe. Coming back in of Bartlett. That's a nice attempt there, though, from Landon Dennis, the catcher. Trying to catch that runner leading off of Bartlett. But nicely done, sliding back in safe to first. That was definitely worth the try, though. It's risky play, though, because if that goes off wound a little bit, ends up being an infield error that can score a run. Here's the 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss, and that is Clay Buseman getting the very, very important strikeout for AGWSR and keeps St. Edmund scoreless as Colton Feveld will strike out. So the walk of Blake Bartlett ends up paying off for AGWSR, as St. Edmund will ultimately have no runs off of 1 hit, 1 infield error from AGWSR, and ends up leaving 3 on. This will be a very important inning to look back on, seeing how the rest of this matchup will potentially go. Top of the 4th inning, AGWSR will go 7, 8, 9 in their order of Carl Hoosier, Lane Olson, and Brady Abbas. We'll take a short break. Back after this, top of the 4th coming up here on Radio on the Go Sports on YouTube.
Your 90s back on.
I want something else to get me through this. I don't know.
92.9.
KDAO FM.
Eldora, Marshalltown, and Grundy Center. Your 90s back on.
This is Rewind 93.
Rewind 93.
An on-the-go media station.
Top of the 4th inning here for AGWSR. They are leading off with Carl Hoosier. First pitch delivery. It's going to be high. Called for ball 1. It's been a great game here for AGWSR. First 3 innings. First 2 specifically. With 4 total runs. No runs in that 3rd inning. Was able to gain a base hit out of it from Landon Dennis. Ultimately kind of fizzled out. But this has been a great game. Offensively, that first inning really kind of steamrolled a little bit and definitely set the tone for the rest of this matchup and the way that it has gone. Had the base hit from Buseman on the leadoff single. Tristan Dennis with a double. Then a reach on error from Landon Dennis as he was able to get to first, but ends up gaining 2 RBIs in the process. Then a RBI triple knocked in from Rem Kearns, and that gained the 3 runs, and then 1 run in the second inning from the RBI single of Bo Starr after the base hit of Clay Buseman. St. Edmond had bases loaded in the bottom of the third, but ultimately a big strikeout from starting pitcher Clay Buseman was able to keep the bases loaded and left them all stranded, keeping St. Edmond scoreless here tonight. Ends up being ball 4. That'll be a leadoff walk here for Carl Hoosier. So that'll put Hoosier over on first base. That'll be Lane Olson next up to bat. He flew out into right field in his last at-bat. It was a nice contact, really, on his at-bat. He's kind of deeper into right field. He kind of got under it a little bit. It was a little bit awkward on the swing, but it ends up getting really good distance and had a chance to potentially drop. Ends up getting caught, but Olson is a nice player. 8th in the batting order. Has the runner on first. Olson will show bunt. He'll lay that down. Pitcher will have to get to it. Scoops it up. Throw over to first is in time as he sacrifices a bunt from Lane Olson will put the runner over on second base. So Blake Bartlett was able to make the play. Scoop it up pretty cleanly. Throw over to first. Was really no trouble. Puts the runner on second, though, in scoring position with just 1 out. This will bring up Brady Abbas. He'll want to get himself on base as much as he can, setting up the top of the order for Clay Buseman. So he'll get his 3rd at-bat potentially here in this inning. Abbas is also going to show bunt. He ends up backing off. It'll get called for ball 1. So we'll see here if Abbas is wanting to lay down the bunt as well, trying to advance the runner over to third base. Wants to get himself on base in the process to have just the 1 out to work with. Sacrifice would be in play at that point. See what AGWSR will potentially do. No bunt shown this time. Is going to back out of the way. That'll get called for ball 2. So favorable count here for Abbas on a 2-0. 2-0, back and delivering is Bartlett. Takes a little bit longer to get set than Buseman. He will deliver, though. Bunt was shown again. That one is in the zone for strike 1. Abbas ends up laying off of that pitch. Did show bunt initially, though. Abbas stayed off for a quick second. Now back in and set. Left-handed hitter as well for AGWSR. Abbas will lay off that pitch again. That's going to be right down the zone, though. Right in the middle for strike 2. So Abbas was just seeing what Bartlett could do, hoping for a 3-1 count potentially. Probably wasn't anticipating a swing at all at that pitch, no matter what. 2-2 count now. Abbas will show bunt. He'll lay that down. The first baseline does go off foul. Trying to hold that right down that first base line, though, would have been a nice bunt if it would have stayed and hugged that first base line. Would have definitely given him a big shot to advance and be safe on first. Definitely would have advanced the runner over to second, or over to third, excuse me. Wait, what happened? Why was he out? What? Okay. Pretty confused about what actually was just ruled there, because that was a bunt laid down. It went foul ball. And no other pitch was thrown, and now Buseman's up to bat. I'm very confused on what exactly happened there. We are having a brief timeout here in the infield for the Gales, as we might seeing a potential pitching change. Not completely sure. I think just a timeout of sorts. I think we are, though. So we're having some equipment being exchanged here near the dugout. So that is, yeah, I'm very confused on what potentially happened. But that was a bunt laid down for Abbas. It went over the first base line. It went foul. And then he came back, and then it was ultimately out. So, yeah, I'm not exactly sure what went down there, technically. But Abbas is ruled out. And this will bring up Clay Buseman. So unless I missed a pitch or something, I don't think I did, but Buseman will be up to bat. No pitching change, by the way, just kind of a brief infield meeting here, I believe from head coach of the Gales of Jordan Miller. So back after the quick timeout, this is Buseman at the plate. He's gotten 2 base hits tonight, the starting pitcher for the Cougars. He's had a really nice night on the mound and a really nice night at the plate with 2 base hits. We'll see if he can get himself another one. Another one would surely most likely send home a run with that runner over on second. Buseman takes that first pitch. It's low for ball 1. Blake Bartlett takes his time. Right-handed pitcher for St. Edmond and a heavy swing for strike 1 as Buseman can't make contact. Nice pitch there over to that left corner. In the bottom right, had Buseman kind of reaching for that a little bit low. AGWSR would love to continue their scoring. 3 runs in the first, 1 in the second, none in the third, but they have a great opportunity here at the top of the 4th. 1-1 count. Another heavy swing for no contact for strike 2. So Buseman on a 1-2 count. See if Bartlett will challenge that zone again. Went to that similar spot towards that bottom shelf. Bartlett delivers. That's going to be called low. Easy take that time for Buseman. Makes it a 2-2 count with 2 down. Runner over on second. That is Carl Hoosier after his leadoff walk. Sacrifice bunt. Put him over on second base. Count at 2-2. And it'll be off to the... No, it's in the zone for strike 3. As Buseman thought it was going to be outside to the right, but it is called in the zone for strike 3. Buseman's caught looking. Nice pitching that time from Blake Bartlett. Keeping AGWSR scoreless here in this 4th inning. So this goes for no runs off of no hits, no infield errors, and 1 left on from the leadoff walk and sacrifice bunt of Carl Hoosier and Lane Olson, putting that runner over on second base. Bottom of the 4th inning coming up. St. Edmond will lead off with Jack McElroy. They'll go 5, 6, 7 in their order. McElroy, Blanco, and Swisher will have their guaranteed at-bats. We'll take a short break. Bottom of the 4th coming up here on Radio on the Go Sports on YouTube.
Navigating mortgages can be very complex. Start your journey with the lending team at GNB Bank. We're committed to getting you to your next home. We offer both fixed rate and adjustable rate mortgages to fit your specific needs. Our experienced lenders help guide you through the process. You can make payments or receive customer service at your local GNB Bank office. Whatever your dream home looks like, we'll point you in the right direction at GNB Bank.
A wound that won't heal can slow your life down. But you don't have to face it alone. At Hanson Family Hospital's Wound Care Center, our specialized team of skilled clinicians provides the medical expertise needed to support the body's healing process, limit health complications, and speed up recovery time for non-healing wounds. With personalized treatment plans and compassionate care, we're focused on helping you heal and get back to what matters most. Call 641-323-2060 to schedule an appointment in Iowa Falls. Hanson Family Hospital is healthcare you can count on.
Bottom of the 4th inning coming up. AGWSR off to a 4-0 lead so far in this matchup tonight. They have definitely been the better team this evening so far as AGWSR looks to continue that. Really nice night at the mound for Clay Buseman. He's up to, I believe 5 strikeouts. Sorry, 5 strikeouts on the night. And the most important one was that last at-bat from Colton Feveld, able to strike him out as the bases were loaded. It was a reach on air, a base hit, and a walk. Was able to load up the bases for St. Edmond, but ultimately Feveld ended up striking out for the pitching of Clay Buseman. Definitely the biggest strikeout of the night. We do have a new pitcher, though. Clay Buseman is going to step off the mound. We are having a pitching change for AGWSR. This will be number 28 for AGWSR. This is Tristan Dennis making the pitching change. So we'll see how this game changes a little bit and impacts with Tristan Dennis taking over the pitching responsibilities. But definitely a great way for Clay Buseman to end his night after that big strikeout. So his night is done at the pitching mound. We'll take a quick look at Tristan Dennis's stats here in just a quick second after this at-bat. This is a 1-1 count. This is Jack McElroy leading off here in the bottom of the fourth. Heavy swing and a miss for strike 2. Makes it a 1-2 count. Tristan Dennis, one of the better players here for AGWSR offensively. He's third in the batting order. He's got the highest batting average, I believe, on the team with .408 as he finds himself at the mound. This will get chopped down into right field, and that will drop. The right fielder is under it, and rounding over to first, he'll stay put, and will be safe over on first base. That'll be a leadoff single for Jack McElroy. Not the best of starts, obviously, for Dennis, so he'll try to find his headspace, try to shake off that leadoff single, and get back in and focused as Tristan Dennis, the senior. In terms of pitching, I believe probably the second or third most experienced pitcher alongside Clay Buseman. This is his 11th overall game played. He's had 6 starts throughout the regular season. That one is going to get a piece of it back behind, hits the net for foul ball and strike 1. Dennis has the second highest pitch count on the team with 671, has allowed 29 hits, had 26 walks, and has allowed 24 runs. Has a batting average against of 181 on the season thus far. That pitch is going to find the zone for strike 2, here on an 0-2 count as Julian Blanco caught looking. Blanco next up to bat, his second at-bat of the night. Struck out in his first AB. 254 average for Blanco. Runner over on first. Blanco's going to put this one into play. That should be very capable of the right fielder as he'll get under it and make the grab. That's Lane Rose over in right field making the snag, as that will go for the first out. This will bring up Ethan Swisher. Just kind of reviewing some of the infield defensive changes. I believe Bo Starr still over on first base. Buseman is now going to find himself at the shortstop position. Dennis was over at third base, but they've made a couple of moves around. Here's an attempt to steal over to second, trying to tag out the runner. Believe he got him, and that's nicely done from AGWSR infield defense. Nice throw there from Landon Dennis at the catcher spot. Makes a connection with, I believe, the second baseman. That is Trace Eiton, as he is still over at second base. Yes, Eiton over at second base. There is now that's Rem Kearns over at third. Rem Kearns was originally the designated player and was not in the infield, so he finds himself now at third base for AGWSR. So next up to bat is Ethan Swisher. So caught stealing was Jack McElroy. And a great job from the infield defense of AGWSR as we're down to 2 outs. So again, just to recap, Rem Kearns, is that 24? That's 24, right? Yeah, that's Rem Kearns. Over on third base, shortstop is now Clay Buseman, second baseman still Eiton, and first baseman still Bo Starr. So the main changes is the shortstop and third base position of Buseman and Rem Kearns, and now starting pitcher Tristan Dennis. Outfield, assume, remains the same with Abbas in left field, Carl Hoosier in center field, and Rose in right field. Check that swing. It's going to go high for ball 4, and Ethan Swisher will take his base. So Swisher walks over to first. This will bring up Carson Barkfried. Barkfried, the right fielder. Yes, that is the correct pronunciation. I double-checked on that. It's definitely a tough last name to say, so I had to confirm that. That was my initial first guess, though, so I am proud of that. Swing and a miss for Barkfried. Goes for strike 1. Spelled Bargfrede. Barkfried. 0-1 count. Checks that swing. It's going to get called low for ball 1. Barkfried reached on an error in his first at-bat. Started off the inning well, too, in that third inning. That's when he reached on the error. And the single from Garrett Royster followed that up. Then the walk was able to load up the bases, but ultimately was a strikeout. Here's a throw over to first, trying to tag off the runner, but he will be back in safe after that called strike 2. It's been some really good infield defense from both teams tonight. St. Edmond is definitely on top of some of these steal attempts that AGWSR has made. Had the one kind of dropped one, but it was definitely going to be an adequate time. So St. Edmond is definitely very capable of tagging out some runners. That's going to be a nice breaking ball. That'll drop top of the zone for strike 3. Nicely done there from the senior of Tristan Dennis, as he'll find a top zone for the strikeout and will leave St. Edmond scoreless. This will go for no runs after one base hit, no errors, and ends up leaving none on, as McElroy had the leadoff single. Ultimately gets caught stealing, though, in a fly-out walk and a strikeout. Or no, sorry, yeah, actually does leave that runner over on first with the walk of Swisher. So leaves one on after 4 innings. So still 4-0 after 4 innings. It was 4-0 after 2. AGWSR will have their heart of the offense. They'll go 2-3-4 in their batting order. They'll have Tristan Dennis and Landon Dennis. They'll have their guaranteed at-bats. Top of the 5th inning coming up here on Radio on the Go Sports on YouTube. Welcome back here to Radio on the Go Sports on YouTube. Top of the 5th inning coming up here for AGWSR. They will lead off with Bo Starr, as they'll go 2-3-4 in their batting orders. It'll be both Dennis's with their guaranteed at-bats at the 3 and 4 spot in the order. Starr will check that first swing. He'll find the zone for strike 1. It's been a great game here for AGWSR. You know, they came in as, I think the slight underdogs here tonight. I think most people kind of keeping up with baseball this year for both teams. If you've been following them kind of closely, this is not necessarily a big surprise for AGWSR to be performing like this. I think St. Edmond is probably a little bit underwhelmed of how they've looked offensively tonight, but they can't be too shocked on how the Cougars have performed here offensively. That'll get right past the third baseman on a line drive. That'll go deep into left field, too. Has to make up a lot of distance. He'll round over to second. That's a base and now double for Bo Starr. Slides in safely. Didn't necessarily need to, but just for safe measure, Bo Starr gets himself on second base with a leadoff double. That was driven right past the third baseman and hugged that third base line, and then had a ton of pace going into deep left field. You got to keep in mind, too, this is this is a turf field here in Harlan Rogers, so that baseball will glide a little bit further than a typical grass field, so it'll have some heavier bounces. It'll also travel further on some of those ground balls, so you do have to accommodate for that on some of those hits. It will travel a little bit further than you might anticipate, so outfielders especially have to be careful, anticipating some of the pace that these balls will travel. Turf equals less resistance, and a lot more speed and pace will be with the baseballs here tonight. This is quickly a 1-1 count. This is Tristan Dennis. Same applies to the game of soccer. Basically the same exact kind of metrics that you look at for turf field versus grass fields. Got, of course, the World Cup going on. Not even going to talk about the USA. Moving on. 1-1 count. Runner over on second after the leadoff double of Bo Starr. Pitcher will step off. Still Blake Bartlett for St. Edmond. We did get the pitching change for AGWSR of Clay Buseman. Tristan Dennis is now doing the pitching duties at the mound. We'll see how long Bartlett will stay in this game. They do have a pitch count meter here, actually. Oh, no, we do. Oh, sorry. We do have a pitching change. I apologize. He just came in here at the top of the 5th. I was wondering that because I was looking at the pitch count there for a quick second, but they don't necessarily take as long for those pitching changes. Usually you can really tell by how long they're starting to warm up, but we do have a pitching change. This is number 20, I believe, for for St. Edmond. We'll get his name here in just a quick second. This is Thomas N., I believe. E-H-N. Thomas N., sophomore here for St. Edmond. Take a quick look at some of his stats here as this inning continues on. This is Dennis. He'll reach low for that one. Does put it into play. It's over into right field. He'll be able to cover. Runner's going to tag up, and he'll make his way over to third. Nice base running there from Bo Starr, and he'll get himself in prime scoring position on third base. So sacrifice fly here for Tristan Dennis. Puts the runner over on third. This will be Landon Dennis next up to bat. So Dennis will have another opportunity to send home a run. He had the 2 RBI reach on error in his first at-bat. Also has a single to his name as well. A very nice hit as well in that third inning. Pitch is going to get called high for ball 1. But this is pitcher Thomas N. He has 4 starts to his name. This is his 11th game played on the season. In terms of pitch count is a 498 pitch count coming into this game. And now over the 500 mark, part of his at-bats currently. 236 batting average against. Has allowed 30 hits on 24 runs. And an ERA, an earned run average of 3.80. 2-0 count. That one's going to get driven into right field, but it's off and foul. Off of the wall, goes for strike 1. Not to complain about first world problems, but actually I've had a lot better experience here in the press box there. You have some heavy air conditioning here in the press boxes, and man, I'll tell you, it was like an ice box when I stepped in here on Friday last week. I was freezing, and I was able to, thankfully you're able to adjust it here in the press box itself. It's not too difficult. I was able to kind of turn off the AC and get it to a more adjustable temperature. I shouldn't have been complaining too much because it was, it's still very, very hot outside as we are approaching nighttime, so it's getting a little bit cooler out there, a little bit more bearable. I might actually turn off the AC. I kind of moved it up temperature-wise, so it's around more like 70, but just know that I'm well taken care of here in this press box. I'm nice and cool. No heat, no sun problems for me today. That goes go low for ball 4, so that will be a walk for AGWSR as Landon Dennis will walk over to first base. This will bring up Rem Kearns, the designated player, or designated hitter, excuse me. It is number 30 for AGWSR now doing the base running as Dennis will find his way back to the dugout after his walk. Check that swing. Runner is going to go. No one covering over to second with that base runner on third, so it will be an easy steal over to second base. This is Kaysen Scallon doing the base running. He's now over on second after the successful steal. So this is Rem Kearns. He has a RBI triple in this game. Be very useful to apply that here. This is knocked in off foul. Deep past the fence towards left field. Quickly into an 0-2 count. AGWSR has played a fine game here, but if they can get some runs home here in this 5th inning, that would do wonders for them going through the rest of this game. This is a big inning defensively here for St. Edmunds to keep them scoreless, but there's just 1 out. And that's a good take, good eye there from Rem Kearns as that will go for ball 1 as that's just outside. Remember, this is Thomas N., I believe. Yeah, Thomas N. Now the pitcher for St. Edmond. That does find the zone as Kern laid off. Thought it was going to get called outside. But does find the zone for strike 3 as he will ultimately strike out. This will bring up Trace Eiton. Eiton struck out and grounded out in his first 2 at-bats tonight. Looking for his first base hit on the evening. Definitely couldn't come at a better time here with runners on second and third and 2 outs. Thomas will deliver. That's in the zone for strike 1 as Eiton lays off. There's not a ton of pressure here on AGWSR to get these runs home, but it feels like if they really want to try and put this away and apply a ton of mental pressure for St. Edmond, getting these runs home is ultimately important. This one's going to get put into play. It's a ground ball, scooped up, though, from the second baseman. It'll be an easy throw to first, and that will be the third out. Trace Eiton will ultimately ground out. A nice try there, though, from AGWSR. Put runners on second and third. Couldn't get them home, though, after the leadoff double of Bo Starr. Sacrifice fly from Tristan Dennis put him over on third. Strikeout, a walk, and then a ground out. Keeps the runner stranded at second and third. Goes for no runs off of one hit, no errors, and ultimately 2 left on for the Cougars. We'll take a short break. Back for the top of the 5th inning. St. Edmond will lead off with Garrett Royster. Henning and Gales, they'll have their guaranteed at-bats. Back after this here on Radio On The Go Sports on YouTube.
Your 90s back on.
I want something else to get me through this. Yeah, I don't know.
92.9.
KDAO FM.
Eldora, Marshalltown, and Grundy Center. Your 90s back on.
This is Rewind 93.
Rewind 93.
An on-the-go media station.
Bottom of the 5th inning coming up here in Fort Dodge. St. Edmond's the host team here tonight here at Harlan Rogers Sports Complex. You've never been out here to Fort Dodge at Harlan Rogers. It's definitely a very big kind of sports complex. A lot of baseball, softball here, obviously. Harlan Rogers has been a host of state softball for many of years, and they also have some soccer fields here, part of Harlan Rogers Sports Complex. It's home of the Iowa Central Tritons, my alma mater in terms of community college. Spent 2 years here at Iowa Central, so know this place specifically pretty well. Done a lot of broadcasts when I was in my time in college for Iowa Central. Worked here at Fairway up in Fort Dodge. I plan on going to Taco Tico after this, as I've definitely missed that place. I actually had it on Friday, actually, but I want to go back now. I had the taste of Taco Tico, and now I'm wanting to go right back. And if you've ever been up here to Fort Dodge, I would assume know that it's, yes, very, very good. It's not an advertisement. They didn't pay me to say nothing. Just free a little publicity there for you for Taco Tico. But hit us up if you ever feel like it here at Radio On The Go. We wouldn't mind. Especially if you can get us in on some stuff. I'd greatly appreciate it. 1-1 count. Remember Tristan Dennis at the mound. Check that swing. It does find the zone, though. Bottom shelf for strike 2 on a 1-2 count. This is Garrett Royster leading off here for St. Edmond. Dennis will deliver again. Breaking ball, trying to find that zone. Can't get the call, as it's called, outside to the right for a ball 2. So Dennis came in on the pitching change at the top of the 4th inning for AGWSR. Dennis will find it low and a swing and a miss for strike 3. Garrett Royster will strike out. It'll bring up Kinnick Henning. Kinnick Henning, yes. Same spelling as Kinnick Stadium up in Iowa City. We're more in Iowa State territory, I will say, so I'm not sure if that was a direct correlation of that name given, but you always kind of assume that here in the state of Iowa, but not intentionally. You never know. But Kinnick Henning struck out twice tonight as the leadoff hitter for St. Edmond, so definitely wanting their leadoff hitter to get himself on base, trying to set up Grant Gales and Blake Bartlett at that 2 and 3 spot in the order, and trying to get some runs home. Definitely in a very important inning, as this is the top of the order now after just the 1 out. There's a swing and a miss again for strike 2. Tristan Dennis challenging heavily here at the strike zone. 0-2 count. That's going to be way low, and really fast pitch, though, as it's ultimately behind the plate for ball 1. Dennis, you can tell, definitely more of a kind of heavy pitcher of sorts. Challenges that zone very fast. He's got a nice fastball to his arsenal, and there's another pitch down the middle for strike 3. Swing and a miss again as back-to-back strikeouts here for Tristan Dennis in a very important inning here for St. Edmond, as Henning will strike out. This will bring up Grant Gales, the left fielder. He's grounded out and flew out, as that's kind of been the big difference tonight between St. Edmond and AGWSR. When you look kind of near the top of the order, as AGWSR has, if you go kind of their first 4, we can even go first 5 of the batting order, have pretty much combined with every base hit on the night, which is up to 7 base hits. And then when you look at St. Edmond, their combined hits are just 2, and they have both come from the 5 spot in the order in below with Jack McElroy and Royster. And swings at that one, got a piece of it, goes back behind for a foul ball. It'll be a 1-2 count. That's kind of been the big difference tonight. You know, the top of the order has been really seeing the ball well, performing at the plate for AGWSR. For St. Edmond, top of the order has not really been there, as the pitching tonight has made it very difficult for St. Edmond. 1-2 count, that'll be a low. Easy take there for ball 2. Blake Bartlett is waiting on deck. Statistically the best hitter on the team. He's walked twice. One was hit by the pitch, and one was more of a strategic walk to load up the bases, especially with runners over on second and third. Didn't want to challenge him heavily on the strike zone. That one's going to get called for ball 3. So it's up and off to the left. Important at bat here. St. Edmunds just wants to get Gales on base, trying to set up Blake Bartlett of sorts. So he hasn't really had a chance to send anything into play. He was quickly sent on that walk on that hit by the pitch, and that last at-bat was not really challenged at all at that strike zone, was really just trying to get him to reach on some pitches. So this would definitely be a more favorable at-bat for Bartlett to be involved in the offense here and try to get some guys home. Full count pitch. That is going to get called low for ball 4. So there's the runner over on first. Biggest at-bat of the night, really, for St. Edmond. This is their statistical best player. Third in the order, the starting pitcher tonight of Blake Bartlett. His pitching duty is now done for the evening, as it is now Thomas N. at the mound. But Bartlett is definitely a heavy hitter here for St. Edmond. He's kind of the star freshman, a part of this squad, whether it's pitching or offensive hitting for St. Edmond. Bartlett has 14 base hits, 6 doubles, 2 triples, and 4 home runs. So a very capable home run hitter of sorts, as that's not an expression, obviously, here in the game of baseball. I'm used to saying that as an expression. On-base percentage of .580, so gets himself on base more times than not. It's going to take that first pitch, goes low for ball 1. We'll see if AGWSR, we'll see if Dennis will challenge him heavily here towards the zone, wants to get him to maybe reach. A walk wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing in the world, really, but with 2 outs, just a runner on first. Runner's going to go. Steal over to second. That's going to get off of the bag a little bit. That's going to go into center field. Nice cover there from the center fielder. He's up nicely of Hoosier, and he'll make sure it doesn't go any further than that, but it will be a successful steal over to second base for the base runner of Grant Gales. So Gales, with that walk, gets over into scoring position. 2-0 count delivers. That's going to get called low for ball 3. Still really haven't, I don't think Bartlett has been shown a strike all game. He was hit by the pitch quickly in his first at-bat, and it was a 4-0 count in his last at-bat, and now up to a 3-0 count. 3-0 delivery. It's going to be outside for ball 4. So Bartlett will not be thrown a strike yet this game, as AGWSR is doing their absolute best to avoid throwing him some pitches down the zone and capable of knocking those in. So strategically, that is kind of a 4-0 count here for Bartlett, as he will walk over to first. This is going to be Colton Febold. He has struck out twice technically. His first strikeout, he was able to reach over to first, but ultimately on that same kind of play, the other base runner over on second was caught in between second and third and was ultimately tagged out. First pitch did go in the zone for strike 1, so an 0-1 count with runners on first and second. Check that swing. It's in the zone. Breaking ball. Nicely done there from Tristan Dennis, as that goes for strike 2. Colton Febold has to deliver here for St. Edmond to get them in this game. It's still very much in reach, but they have to get going offensively. Swing and a miss and reach for it. It's a drop strike 3. They're going to say it is a drop strike 3. Umpire called it, but a throw over to first will be in time that time. It will be ultimately just a strikeout for Febold and another strikeout for Tristan Dennis. That's his 4th strikeout of the night, coming in on the pitching change on the 4th inning. Keeps St. Edmund scoreless with no runs, no hits. The base runners stranded at first and second after the 2 walks of Grant Gales and Blake Bartlett. and no infield errors. It is still 4-0 after 5 innings. Top of the 6th coming up. AGWSR 7, 8, 9 in their order. Hoosier, Olsen, and Abbas with their guaranteed at-bats. We'll take a quick break back after this here on Radio on the Go Sports on YouTube.
Your 90s back on.
I want something else to get me through this. Yeah, I don't know.
92.9.
KDAO FM.
Eldora, Marshalltown, and Grundy Center. Your 90s back on.
This is Rewind 93.
Rewind 93.
An on-the-go media station.
Navigating mortgages can be very complex. Start your journey with the lending team at GNB Bank. We're committed to getting you to your next home. We offer both fixed rate and adjustable rate mortgages to fit your specific needs. Our experienced lenders help guide you through the process. You can make payments or receive customer service at your local GNB Bank office. Whatever your dream home looks like, we'll point you in the right direction at GNB Bank.
Carl Hoosier will lead off here at the top of the 6th inning for AGWSR. They'll go 7, 8, 9 in their batting order, as Hoosier has lined out and a walk. He puts this one into play. It'll get scooped up from the shortstop. Throw over to first is in time for the first out. That is Jack McElroy making the play over at the shortstop position. Throw over to first. Adequately in time, as Hoosier swung at the first pitch. So this will bring up Lane Olsen. No, sorry. Olsen will not be in play batting. It'll actually be a courtesy hitter. It'll be Kaysen Scallon. He's done some courtesy running tonight. And Scallon will now have his first at-bat of the night. First pitch took for ball 1. That's going to be top shelf for strike 1 as Scallon lays off. So Scallon gets his first at-bat of the night. Swing and a miss at that pitch, goes for strike 2. Thomas N doesn't mess around necessarily with his warm-up. He goes pretty quick. So once you're set, Thomas is going to challenge you really quickly. And he's going to put this one into play for Scallon. It'll be scooped up from the third baseman. Throw over to first will be in time for the first out, or second out, excuse me, as Kaysen Scallon ultimately will ground out on his first at-bat of the night. So a quick 2 up and 2 down, both on ground outs, one to the shortstop, one to the third baseman. This will bring up Brady Abbas. Abbas, left-handed hitter. Swings at the first pitch, goes off foul. He attempted the bunt, and his first at-bat was ultimately out, trying to get on base. And then there was that awkward way he got out. I still can't explain that. Really, I wish I could, but I don't know how to explain it. As he was out, I believe the count was 2-2, I believe, and he laid down a bunt, and it went off foul ball, and then he was out. That's the way I can explain it. I don't know how else to explain it to you, unless. Yeah, I don't know, because he definitely made contact. It definitely went foul, and it wasn't a strike. This one's popped up into foul territory. Good cover there from the third baseman, but Garrett Royster, and a quick 3 up and 3 down for AGWSR, as 2 ground outs and now an infield flyout, as St. Edmunds will quickly get back to the batter's box, and they desperately need to score here in this 6th inning. It's still within reach. It is still 4-0. The first 3 runs in the first inning and 1 in the second have been the only scoring tonight. AGWSR still seen it well and have definitely put some guys on base and been in scoring position, but just ultimately haven't been able to get anybody else home. And credit St. Edmond for that, defensively and pitching-wise. But this is definitely a big, big inning for St. Edmond. They do not want to be down 4-0 going into the 7th, and obviously, AGWSR will have another opportunity in the 7th inning to add more runs to it. So they will need to get on track, get some runs home to give themselves a chance. It looks like we are having a pitching change here for AGWSR. This will be Lane Olsen, so that kind of explains the reasoning for Olsen not having his last at-bat. Subbing in was Kaysen Scallon on that at-bat. So Olson will now find himself at the pitching mound. He'll be serving pretty much as the closer tonight. Olson had a really good showing on Friday's game here in Fort Dodge in their quarterfinal matchup. Lane Olson had, I believe, 9 at-bats with 9 strikeouts in a row for AGWSR. So he'll look to do essentially kind of a similar stat line. Obviously can't get to 9 strikeouts with only 2 innings left, but he'll look to deliver the same as he did Friday, as he showed up big against Colonesco. Obviously assumes to be a bit of a tougher challenge here. This will be Jack McElroy leading off as he's walking up to the plate now. McElroy, the shortstop, is a .260 average hitter. He had the base hit. He had the leadoff single in the 4th inning. So this is very similar to that 4th inning. They'll go same order, 5, 6, 7. McElroy had that leadoff single. He ultimately got caught stealing, though, on a couple of at-bats later, I believe. First pitch, takes it, goes outside for ball 1. But Lane Olson, just a freshman here for AGWSR, but like I mentioned, is a nice pitcher. Had a really good showing in Friday's game. He'll look to continue here. This one goes off a little bit wild and kind of makes contact with the catcher of Landon Dennis. He's shaking up a little bit. Give a big thank you to some of our sponsors here tonight to give you this broadcast possible of G&B Bank, Hanson Family Hospital, and Ellsworth Community College. Reset a little conversation there from the head umpire with pitcher of Olson. Take a look at some of Olson's stats as well here in the pitching department as we have some time here. Lane Olson, this is his 14th game played. Usually comes in more of a closer type of pitcher, I would assume. Has only 4 starts on the regular season. We're back in action. He throws it low, call for ball 3. But Lane Olson has allowed 22 runs off of 43 hits. Has 52 total strikeouts, pitch count of 595. So he does have a pretty heavy pitch count. So maybe not as many starts as some of the other pitchers, but definitely has a fair share of games played. As Clay Buseman serves as kind of the primary pitcher. Dennis kind of right next to him with 6 starts, Buseman with 10, and Olson with 4. That pitch is going to get called high for ball 4 after an initial strike. So it's a 4-1 count as McElroy will take his base. So they've kind of gone through all 3 starting pitchers for AGWSR tonight. Lane Olson kind of being the last of the 3. Clay Buseman had a really good start. Tristan Dennis did a very nice job coming in the 4th inning. But now we see another pitching change with Olson. A leadoff walk. Remember, it was a leadoff single and was the same batter as well. Jack McElroy, he had the leadoff single off the initial pitching change. And now a leadoff walk off the pitching change. So he's taking full advantage of that. Sometimes it takes one at-bat or two to kind of settle in as Olson will deliver. That'll be a bit of a breaking ball. Goes low for ball 2. So it's a 2-0 count. This is Julian Blanco, another freshman here for St. Edmond. Olson will deliver. That one's in the zone for strike 1 as Blanco lays off. And St. Edmond, I think, is smart. They're being very careful on selecting some of these pitches to swing at. I think they're trying to feel out Olson a little bit, seeing if he can hit the zone consistently and if they want to challenge a little bit heavier on some of these pitches. So Olson's got to kind of prove to St. Edmond that he's going to throw some consistent pitches in the zone. As that one's off to the left side. Kind of moves out of the way a bit for that one on a 3-1 count. Favorable count here for Julian Blanco. He struck out and flew out in his 2 at-bats. Has that runner over on first with no outs on the leadoff walk. That one's going to get away from Olson. That'll be outside for ball 4. So back-to-back walks here. Puts runners on first and second. This is going to set up Ethan Swisher, the designated hitter. He is grounded out, and he has also walked in his first 2 at-bats. So quick conversation here with catcher of Landon Dennis and the now pitcher of Lane Olson. Just trying to conversate a little bit, getting Olson back on track. Like I mentioned before, Olson had a really nice showing on Friday's game. He's definitely a very capable pitcher. Just a little bit of a shaky start here. 2 4-1 counts on his first 2 at-bats, ending in 2 walks. So just trying to kind of settle back in here, challenge that zone a little bit heavier, seeing if we can put some balls into play, get some guys out, as this is definitely a good part of the order to set up the 7th inning if you can get some guys home. This is Jackson Calvert now running over on first base for St. Edmond as Blanco will go back to the dugout. So Calvert serving as the courtesy runner over on first. Star kind of cheating up a little bit at first base. I think AGWSR maybe anticipating a potential bunt attempt, maybe from St. Edmunds, just kind of being prepared for it, essentially. Swing and a miss, heavy swing and a miss that time from Ethan Swisher. You can feel the tension kind of rising here. This is a big inning defensively for AGWSR. Want to set themselves up nicely for that 7th inning, keep the pressure off. Here comes the bunt attempt. That'll go off foul or strike 2. Approaching about 8:40. This matchup's gone on for about an hour and 40 minutes. Probably an expected ending time at around 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock, excuse me. 9 o'clock of sorts. Depending on how the rest of this game goes, of course. 0-2 count. Delivery will be a breaking ball in the zone for strike 3. Nice recovery pitch for Lane Olson, and he gets his first strikeout of the night. Very nice job from Lane Olson that time. Goes for his first strikeout, as that will bring up Carson Barkfried. Barkfried has reached on an error. He's also struck out in his first 2 at-bats. Has the runners on first and second with 1 out. Olson will take his time. Breaking ball pitch. That finds the zone nicely. Back inside for strike 1. Olson will reset. Olson, a right-handed pitcher for the Cougars. He'll deliver. That one got contact down off and fouled near the third base line. That goes for strike 2. Here's an 0-2 count. Big at-bat here for St. Edmond. They want to get some guys home in any way, shape, or form. They don't care how they do it. They just want to get anybody home to at least open up the scoring, find some confidence, and set up the top of their order, whether it's in this inning or the 7th, to try and get back into this game. Still very well in reach, but this inning has definitely got to capitalize of sorts and get somebody home at least. 1-2 count as that one's off to the left side. One-two count, delivery, swing and a miss for strike 3, and again, Lane Olson follows it up with another strikeout. Back-to-back strikeouts for the freshman, as that brings up Garrett Royster, and rounding out the order in the 9th spot. Royster, another freshman here for St. Edmond, as a does have a single on the night and a strikeout in his first 2 at-bats. Most likely going to be his last at-bat of the night, depending on how this game goes, of course, if we see potential extra innings. But St. Edmond has got to deliver really here with Royster. They'd love to get him another hit on the night. That one's called for ball 1 as Royster lays off. So it was close to the zone near the bottom shelf. Olson resets. Now he delivers. Heavy swing and a miss for strike 1, as Olson is definitely more of a creative pitcher than Tristan Dennis. Not criticizing either one, just different styles. Dennis more of a fastball heavy pitcher. Lane Olson definitely a little bit more creative, has some breaking balls, some changeups of sorts. He definitely switches it up a little bit in his arsenal. He's a bit of a tougher pitcher to read, and knowing exactly what he's going to deliver. That's a nice changeup pitch near the zone. That goes for strike 2 as Royster lays off. You can really feel the tension building up here. This crowd goes like dead silent before the pitch is delivered. They are kind of highly anticipating this at-bat, as it's ultimately very important. 1-2 delivery. That's going to go high for ball 2. Easy take that time for Garrett Royster. Those runners on first and second desperately needing to come home for St. Edmond. They want to set up their top of the order in this inning or the next That is going to be a swing and got just a piece of it off for foul ball back behind the plate. And a nice job there from Royster to at least make contact to keep his at-bat. So after it went off foul, just a quick reset here. Royster back into the box now. Olsen will take his time. He'll get set. He'll look back to second. Olsen will deliver. Got a piece of it off and foul as it goes behind the net past the St. Edmond dugout. It's been a tough night here for St. Edmond, but this is their big chance to kind of nullify all of that and get some guys home. They've put guys on base these last few innings. They had those loaded bases in the third, 1 left on the fourth, and 2 left on in the fifth. So they have 2 runners now here on first and second. That is a swing and a miss. Goes for a drop strike 3, but an easy throw over to first. That'll go for the third out. And that is 3 strikeouts in a row for AGWSR. Lane Olsen delivers big, coming in on the pitching change here at the bottom of the 6th inning after back-to-back walks, but follows it up with 3 strikeouts as Lane Olsen delivers big here in this 6th inning. Top of the 7th coming up. AGWSR is hoping that this is going to be their last at-bats of the night and can walk out of here of Fort Dodge with a big win and try to move on to the regional final. Top of the 7th coming up. They'll have the top of the order. They'll go Buseman, Starr, and Tristan Dennis. We'll be back after this here on Radio On The Go Sports on YouTube.
Navigating mortgages can be very complex. Start your journey with the lending team at GNB Bank. We're committed to getting you to your next home. We offer both fixed rate and adjustable rate mortgages to fit your specific needs. Our experienced lenders help guide you through the process. You can make payments or receive customer service at your local GNB Bank office. Whatever your dream home looks like, we'll point you in the right direction at GNB Bank.
Well, we got the top of the 7th coming up here on Radio On The Go Sports on YouTube. AGWSR started off hot and fizzled out a little bit offensively, but defensively they have come along very strong here tonight as those 3 runs in the first inning really set the tone. They got another run in that second inning. Ultimately haven't scored since then, but they have kept St. Edmond scoreless so far in this game here coming into the 7th inning. AGWSR is hoping that this is going to be their last at-bats of the night, but they don't want to necessarily settle. They want to try to pile on, especially in the spot they're at. They're going back to the top of the order. They got Clay Buseman leading off here, Bo Starr and Tristan Dennis. They'll have their first 3 at-bats guaranteed anyway, and they want to keep that going. If they can find this top of the order with some more runs, they will gladly take it. First 2 pitches, 1 ball, 1 strike. This is still Thomas N. for St. Edmond. That's going to be put into play. Scooped up from the second baseman. Nice play there. Throw to first in time for the out. Nice cover there from Griffin Loffersweiler. As he has not been in the order tonight, he has been playing second base for the designated hitter of St. Edmond of Ethan Swisher. But nice play there. Throw to first in time for the ground out. So Clay Buseman's most likely night is done in terms of offense, in terms of at the batting, but we will see how the bottom of the 7th goes. Takes that first pitch, goes high for ball 1. This is Bo Starr. He's had a nice night tonight as the RBI single and the leadoff double. Did strike out in his first at-bat, but has definitely made up for it since then. So he's done a nice job at first base as well defensively. 2-0 count. Thomas N. doesn't take his time at all. He is a very quick guy in terms of setting up his pitching motion. Once he gets set, he is very quick to deliver. He's pretty much straight fastball up the middle. And check that swing, got a piece of it. It does roll off past the first base line. The spin carries it as it goes for a foul ball. That'll make it a 2-2 count. But Thomas N., as I mentioned, he is very quick with his delivery. He gets set and he'll take like 2 seconds, maybe not even, and then he'll deliver, as there's not much discussion in his mind about what he is going to throw. And it's just kind of, once I'm set, I'm good to go. And it's like a free throw routine where you just catch it and then shoot it. You don't see it too often, but it does happen. That is just going to be high for ball 3. So Bo Starr, good eye there, gets called for ball 3. It's a full count. And Bo Starr is going to chop this one, takes a bounce to the shortstop. Throw over to first is in time. Bo Starr tried to slide in to get safe, but is ultimately out as Bo Starr grounds out. So back-to-back ground outs for Abusement and Bo Starr. This will bring up Tristan Dennis. Dennis has a double. He is flown out, and he had a sacrifice fly to put a runner at third of Bo Starr after his leadoff double in his last at-bat. First pitch for Dennis goes off the bat and foul. Winner here tonight will move on to face either Ankeny Christian or Madrid. We might potentially get a result by the end of this evening, especially this game. Maybe it's gone a little bit longer than some others. That one's going to be knocked deep into left field, and they play for the left fielder. That's going to drop. That will be a base hit and going to turn it into a double for Tristan Dennis. That was a very nice hit into deep left field. Left fielder made an attempt for it for the grab, but ultimately could not come down with it. That was Grant Gales over in left field. Made a nice attempt for it, but ultimately hits the ground and I think took a bit of a bounce off that back wall. And Dennis gets himself another double on the night. He's got 2 doubles now in the evening, as that will set up Landon Dennis. Landon will take that first pitch, goes in the zone for strike 1. I cannot confirm or deny whether they are related in any sort. I would obviously assume that they would be. Most commonly, obviously, would be relation of brothers with a sophomore and senior class. Tristan Dennis, the older brother, if that is what they are. I'm just assuming here. I don't know for sure. I have assumed before, and I have definitely been wrong before. So I always hesitate in saying that and relaying that information. 1-1 count. That's in the zone for strike 2. Unless they're twins, and I can obviously see it, then I can be pretty confident, and I have seen that. 1-2 count. Runner over on second after that's double of Dennis. And now Landon Dennis will knock that through. That's going to send Tristan Dennis home. We'll see. It's going to be a close at the plate. Sliding in. They'll call him safe. He's safe. AGWSR puts another run on the board. Excellent base running from Tristan Dennis, sliding in home. And the tag ultimately from Colton Feveld will not be successful. And that's going to be another RBI for Landon Dennis. He's got 3 now on the night. It'll be an RBI single, but the fielder's choice will put him over on second. And what a huge run that was for AGWSR, as they are up now to a 5-0 lead going into the bottom of the 7th. They'll put a courtesy runner, they'll keep, that will still be Dennis. Just a quick conversation with the coach and an equipment change. So Dennis will stay over on second base. This will be number 21 for AGWSR. This will not be Rem Kearns at the plate. This will be Braden Scallon. So Scallon gets his first at-bat of the night. Rem Kearns did have that RBI triple in the first inning, so he had a nice night at the plate. Scallon will get his first crack at hitting the ball tonight. He has done a little bit of courtesy running here this evening. But after the RBI single of Dennis, he finds himself over on second base after the fielder's choice on the attempt to tag out the runner coming home of Tristan Dennis, but he comes in safely. That was a very close call, too. Nice attempt there from St. Edmond, throwing all the way home. It was caught. The slide in was close, man. I would love to potentially see a replay of that in my mind. I'm just kind of replaying it in my mind. It was definitely close as he slides in safely, though, and puts another run on the board for the Cougars. As this is a 5-0 lead, AGWSR is sitting real nice coming into the bottom of the 7th, as they still have a runner on second with a 1-2 count with 2 down. That's going to be a wild pitch of sorts. Took a bounce and then off the catcher. That is going to advance the runner from second to third. Braden Scallon now has a big opportunity here with his first at-bat of the night. 2-2 count with 2 down, has that runner on third. Bit of a reset here from Thomas N. He came in on the pitching change in the 5th inning for Blake Bartlett. That one's going to get popped up. It's back behind for foul ball. Getting closer to 9 o'clock here. We'll see, obviously, how this bottom of the 7th goes. It's still not completely over, obviously. It's going to be a tough challenge, obviously, for the Gales to get back into this game, no matter what. That even more so as that drops into center field. That's going to be an RBI, and he'll stay himself over on first. Doesn't want to risk it. And a RBI single for his first and most likely going to be his only at-bat of the night of Braden Scallon, and gets himself an RBI single. And what a moment there for Braden Scallon as he puts another run on the board for the Cougars and sends Landon Dennis home after his RBI single. Fielder's choice put him at second, then a wild pitch put him over on third, and he gets sent home from the base hit of Braden Scallon. First pitch goes for strike one. This is Trace Eiton up to bat. Eiton has not gotten himself on base yet tonight. This is definitely his last chance to find so. That's going to be a balk. A balk is going to be called on Thomas N. And that will move the runner over to second base of Braden Scallon as he'll do the base running. He served at some courtesy running tonight. And he's also obviously had his first at-bat, and he turns it into an RBI single and making this a 6-0 game now for the Cougars. Takes that pitch. It does find the zone for strike two. Oh, 2 count with the runner on second. Thomas will deliver. It's put into play. It's going to be scooped up from the first baseman, touch the bag, and it'll be out as Eiton will ground out. But what a great inning for AGWSR as they gain 2 more runs here in the 7th as they get 2 runs off of 3 hits. You had the double of Tristan Dennis, the RBI single of Landon Dennis, and another RBI single from number 21, Braden Scallon, for his first and most likely only at-bat of the night, and he makes the most of it. So 2 runs off of 3 hits, no infield errors, and ends up leaving 1 on. But I think they'll gladly take how this inning ended up, as this is a 6-0 game coming into the bottom of the 7th. St. Edmond will have to have everything go right. They will have the top of the order to serve in an attempt to make this ultimate comeback here at home in Fort Dodge. It'll be Kenneth Henning, Grant Gales, and Blake Bartlett have their guaranteed ABs. We'll take a short break. Back in 30 seconds here on Radio on the Go Sports on YouTube.
Navigating mortgages can be very complex. Start your journey with the lending team at GNB Bank. We're committed to getting you to your next home. We offer both fixed rate and adjustable rate mortgages to fit your specific needs. Our experienced lenders help guide you through the process. You can make payments or receive customer service at your local GNB Bank office. Whatever your dream home looks like, we'll point you in the right direction at GNB Bank.
Well, it's been a great night tonight for AGWSR. It is the bottom of the 7th coming up. We still got 3 more outs for the Cougars to make happen before this game will end tonight, but it is definitely going in the favor of the Cougars here tonight as they look to close this out. It will be a last push for St. Edmond. They obviously need a bunch of things to happen. Probably going to have some errors. Things to kind of go in their favor. They'll have to look out a little bit, but St. Edmond does have their top of the order to get it done. Their top half of the order has really struggled tonight in the offensive department. When you look at their top 4 hitters in terms of the order, if you go 1 through 4, no base hits among any of them. Blake Bartlett has walked 3 times tonight, though, their best hitter. You can credit that to AGWSR. They have kind of strategized that a bit and really not challenged Bartlett too much, and have been okay with him walking over to first base for most of this game tonight. Check that swing. It's going to be low for ball 2. This is a 2-1 count. This is Kenneth Henning. He has struck out all 3 times tonight, so this is definitely his moment to make amends for those at-bats and try to get himself on base any way he can. That will be called in the zone for strike 2. Gales fans not too happy about that call. That was a close one. 2-2 count with no outs here on the leadoff at bat. Check that swing. He's going to call for his secondary umpire. No, he's going to say no. He held back, did not go over home plate. So check that swing. That pitch did go a little bit wild, too. So ends up being a full count. Ankeny wants to start St. Edmond off right. Full count pitch. That's going to be outside to the right. Called for ball 4. Definitely a close one, similar to that other called ball 3 as well. Or no, called strike, excuse me, on that strike 2. But Henning will get himself on base for the first time tonight on a leadoff walk. St. Edmond is not going to be picky whatsoever about how they're getting guys on base and how they're going to try to get guys home. They're going to try to make this happen any way they can, as Grant Gales will be next up to bat. That first pitch is going to be off to the left for ball 1. Gales has found himself on base once tonight with the walk in the 5th inning. He's grounded out and flew out in his other 2 at-bats. Looking for his first base hit of the night. Here's a delivery. It goes off to the left, calling for ball 2. So quickly into a 2-0 count. Lights are starting to come a little bit more predominant here in Fort Dodge. That is got a piece of it back behind home plate for foul ball. Goes for strike 1. Just approaching 9 o'clock here in Fort Dodge. Over here in Harlan Rogers Sports Complex. I hope Taco Tico is open past 9 o'clock. It should be, right? I would imagine so. I might have to double check that. I'm going to be a little bit upset if I can't make the trip. Here's a double play attempt. Run over to second base. He's going to be there in time. Throw over to first. He's safe, but he does get the first out. Nice attempt there. I believe that was Clay Buseman over at the shortstop position. He was able to scoop it up. Didn't really have the timing to throw it over to second, so he kind of takes it upon himself, runs over to second, steps on the bag for the first out, and then throw over to first. Not in time, but does get a first out with Grant Gales reaching first on a fielder's choice, as they do get the first out. So runner over on first. Here's a brief conversation with, I believe, the head coach of AGWSR. That's Adam Clark having a conversation with Bo Starr over on first. So just a brief timeout of sorts as they have some quick discussion, and now they're back and set. Just the runner on first. Maybe a strategy discussion of sorts. They were also kind of checking. Bo Starr was kind of stretching a little bit. Maybe been a potential injury concern, but he seems to be okay. So we're back in action. This is Blake Bartlett. He has not had a single strike thrown at him. There's a runner going to go to second. This is going to be close, sliding in. It's going to move out of the way a bit. He's going to think about maybe going to third, but a good cover from the center fielder. I guess that gets thrown past the second baseman, trying to tag out the runner thrown. Steal is successful. So good steal there from Grant Gales. Definitely probably the right decision. Getting him in scoring position any way they can. This is Bartlett. As I mentioned, he has not had a single strike called against him. He has been hit by the pitch on a 1-0 count. That's in the zone. There it is. There's the first strike thrown for Blake Bartlett as he holds back as it goes to a 1-1 count. That's his first strike thrown to him all night. 1-1 delivery, and he is hit by the pitch. There it is. Bartlett walks over to first. You got to feel for him a little bit. I mean, he's a great player for St. Edmond. AGWSR has not messed around, though. That was not an intentional hit by the pitch, but AGWSR is not necessarily going to hang their head too much about it, as the 4th walk of the night. On-base percentage is 1,000 for Blake Bartlett. 4 walks on 4 at-bats. Got a piece of that. That goes off foul ball. This is Colton Feveld. He has struck out all 3 times tonight. He ultimately, that first strikeout, he did ultimately reach over to first, and again had that base runner get caught from second to third. So same play, even though he reached on first, ultimately didn't really matter in the long run, as almost kind of served as just a regular strikeout of sorts to end that first inning. So 1-1 count. 1 down, 2 outs to go. AGWSR will be off. Here's a throw over to first, trying to tag the runner up. That'll be close, but he's back at safe. Good attempt there from catcher Landon Dennis, throwing over to first base to Bo Starr. So that makes it a 2-1 count. Lane Olson will get set. He'll deliver. Breaking ball tries to find the zone. It's going to go a little bit low, I believe, for ball 3. So 3-1 count with 1 out. 2 outs away for the Cougars winning here tonight on the road here in Fort Dodge. 3-1 delivery. Heavy swing for strike 2. Definitely a pitch that St. Edmond wanted to make contact at. But a heavy challenge there from Lane Olson. So he looks for 2 more outs to send AGWSR off to the district final. Full count pitch for Olson. That's going to get put into play. That will drop into right field. That will send, no, they're not going to send the run home. And that'll just keep the bases loaded. So St. Edmond held off a little bit. Thought they were going to send that run home. But ultimately hold back that base runner. That definitely would have been close. So I can understand the hesitance a little bit, but I thought that runner was definitely going to come home. But no, it just ends up being a base hit for Colton Febold. So this loads up the bases. This is a big, big spot. Jack McElroy is up to bat. He's got an infield fly out, and he does have a base hit, and he has a walk. McElroy puts that into play, and it gets by the second baseman. That's going to score 1 run. They're going to send another run home. He'll be safe, and that puts runners at first and third. So 2 runs on the board for the St. Edmond Gales. And don't write off St. Edmond just yet. They get 2 runs home with 1 out, a runner on first and third, as Jack McElroy steps up big as he'll get himself a 2 RBI single and now puts the pressure on AGWSR a bit, as it's still a lot to make up here for St. Edmond, but they're in a great spot. Runners on first and third. This will be Julian Blanco up to bat next. There is a timeout on the field. Quick discussion here, and you can reasonably understand why, of head coach of AGWSR, Adam Clark, having some discussion with his infield. So we'll see what the back end of the order for St. Edmond can do. Julian Blanco has a walk on the night, as that his only show on base. He struck out and flown out in his other 2 at-bats. This is, every at-bat's going to be just kind of the biggest at-bat of the night from the remainder on. So St. Edmond, we'll see if that steal's going to be coming in from first to second with that runner on third. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for AGWSR to try to challenge that, though, because usually you kind of call that off just in case of an error, or you don't want to send that run home from third base. This was going to be hit and off foul for strike 1. But a lot of times, you know, players will hesitate when you got runners on third base specifically. You got a runner over on first. The steal comes into second. A lot of times guys will just let them go, because even if you are successful getting that guy out going to third, a lot of times teams are understanding that they're going to send that runner home from third as well, and they're going to end up kind of scoring. So it almost ends up being kind of a sacrifice steal of sorts. That's going to be hit nicely. That will drop into shallow left field. That will score a run for Julian Blanco. That'll be an RBI single. And St. Edmond has finally found their groove offensively. And don't look now. The Regals are starting to rally. And that is an RBI single. Puts runners at first and third. The tying run is at the plate of Ethan Swisher. Doesn't have to be necessarily the tying run with just 1 out, but the potential tying run is at the plate of Ethan Swisher, the designated player tonight. He's grounded out, he's walked, and he's struck out in his 3 at-bats. Lane Olson, first pitch, breaking ball, finds the zone for strike 1. Ethan Swisher is 7th in the batting order. Carson Bargfried is waiting on deck for St. Edmond. 0-1 count. Lane Olson delivers. It gets put into play. That's going to be a ground ball to Olson, and will ultimately throw it to first for the second out. That's an important out. It does advance runners to second and third, but that is the second out. So Ethan Swisher will ground out to the pitcher of Lane Olson as he throws it over to first in adequate time. So runners on second and third. This is Carson Bargfried. It is Carson Bargfried. We're going to have a quick discussion here with head coach of Jordan Miller for St. Edmond. We do have a courtesy runner as well for St. Edmond. It will be number 12 of Evan Calfert. Calfert will end up over on second base, taking over base running duties for, I believe, of Jack McElroy. So he'll be over on second. Carson Bargfried will have to be the tying run at home plate. He's checked that swing, but goes over home plate a little bit, hesitant on that swing. It goes for strike one. But Bargfried has to be the tying run here for St. Edmond with runners on second and third and 2 outs. Oh, and 1 count. Lane Olson delivers. Swing and a miss. That's a wild pitch. A run is going to come home. It'll be safe. Cover from the catcher now. That will score a run. As it is now 6-4. Wild pitch scores a run on Bargfried's at-bat. As you can just feel this intensity building and building up. The tying run is at the plate of Carson Bargfried. He has to get on base with 2 outs and down by 2 runs now. 4 runs here in this bottom of the 7th for the Regals. Or for the Gales, excuse me. That's going to be called high for ball 1. The Gales have really rallied here in this bottom of the 7th inning. 1-2 count, 1 strike away for AGWSR. Delivers, swing, and a miss. Call for strike 3, but it's a drop strike 3. And it will reach over to first. That is just a tragic sequence of events. It's called for strike 3, but it's a drop strike 3. And the runner has the batter has the advantage to run over to first, and he does reach. So Carson Bargfried reaches over to first on a drop strike 3. This brings up Garrett Royster. Royster has a base hit. He's struck out twice. He would be the winning run for St. Edmond. First pitch, often foul. It would be Royster to be the winning run here for St. Edmond. Still some work to do here for St. Edmond, but man, this is looking a lot more promising than how it started. And those 2 runs ultimately have served to be ultra important in that top of the 7th. That's going to be a wild pitch. That scores a run for St. Edmond. He comes home. So another run. It's 6-5. The tying run is over on second base for St. Edmond. This has really just turned into a completely different game. Time is called here from head coach Jordan Miller of St. Edmond. And you just kind of wonder, where has this been from St. Edmond all game? It has really been a big struggle. They've been able to put guys on base all night. They've left loaded bases in the 3rd. They left one on in the 4th and 2 in the 5th. They left 2 on in the 6th inning as well with 2 walks. But, man, they have not been able to leave anybody on tonight. They have gotten everybody home. And the tying run is over on second base. The winning run of Garrett Royster is currently at the plate. And the biggest at-bat of the night, amplified. 1-1 count. Olson delivers. That's in the zone for strike 2. 1 strike away here for AGWSR. The tying run is on second base in scoring position and aching to come home. Lane Olson needs to step up and needs to deliver now. 1-2 count. Olson delivers. It's put into play. Here's a scoop up from the shortstop. It's Buseman. Throw to first. It's in time. AGWSR gets the 3rd out, and they win here tonight and hold off St. Edmond's crazy rally. But AGWSR will ultimately win here tonight on the road in Fort Dodge. And what a way to hold on for the Cougars. Royster will ground out and will be the 3rd out. What a rally from St. Edmond, trying to ultimately come back and tie this game up and potentially win it here in the bottom of the 7th. But AGWSR, those 2 runs in the top of the 7th, ultimately end up being ultra important. Of the RBI single of Landon Dennis, and the RBI single from AGWSR's courtesy hitter, Braden Scallon. It ultimately kind of felt like maybe kind of a throwaway RBI of sorts. You know, it was a 6-0 lead going into the 7th inning. It was like, oh, it's nice to have, but we probably don't necessarily need it. But it is very, very much needed from Braden Scallon. His first and only at-bat of the night ends up being the winning run of sorts. And ultimately what gets AGWSR the 6-5 victory here tonight as they move on to the district final, as they will take on the victor of Ankeny Christian and Madrid. Ankeny Christian would be the expected winner. We'll see if we can potentially get a result for you. Doesn't look like we will necessarily, but AGWSR wins here tonight in Fort Dodge. And we'll take a short break. Back after this, we'll wrap it all up for you here at Harlan Rogers Sports Complex here on Radio On The Go Sports on YouTube.
All Hanson Family Hospital clinics are now scheduling athletic sports physicals for middle, high school, and college students. This special is $38 for middle and high school students and $80 for college students if paid day of service. This special is not filed with insurance and payment must be at time of service to receive the discounted price. It does not include immunizations or any other services. Call your provider today to avoid the end of summer rush. Hanson Family Hospital and Clinics is healthcare you can count on.
Well, final score, 6-5. AGWSR wins here tonight. They move on to the district final. A big congratulations to AGWSR. I mean, this was a team that came in as the slight underdogs tonight, but it wasn't a huge surprise, really, that they were able to perform well here tonight. St. Edmonds, though, ultimately did not look the part in these first 6 innings of sorts, really. They were able to put guys on base. They had loaded bases up. In that 3rd inning, they thought they were maybe going to get some guys home, but ultimately a really nice pitching performance from really everybody. Clay Buseman, Tristan Dennis, and Lane Olson, the pitching and bullpen tonight, they really performed well. And, Lane Olson, obviously, that 7th inning didn't necessarily go that well. Obviously, the runs came in, made this a heavy challenge, but stepped up when he needed to. He had those 3 strikeouts in that 6th inning, so credit Lane Olson for that performance as well. And, he struggled a little bit. Maybe the nerves got to him of sorts, and I think St. Edmonds really, it's hard to blame Olson really much at all, though. It felt like St. Edmonds just finally kind of turned it on. It felt like the pressure was on. They were at home. They didn't perform well tonight. Just felt like everything just had to kind of come all at once, and it did. And ultimately, AGWSR is able to hold them off just enough, as the 3 outs were the fielder's choice. So it was the ground out of Grant Gales, it was a ground out of Swisher, and a ground out of Royster. Ends up being the 3 outs in the 7th inning, but the leadoff walk of Henning, then you had the walk hit by the pitch of Bartlett, the single of Colton Feveld, then the 2 RBI single of Jack McElroy, the RBI single of Julian Blanco, as that was able to get 5 runs home ultimately. 4 runs home. Then the wild pitch was able to score the run. I actually think it was 2 wild pitches. Yes, it was. It was 2 wild pitches that were able to score runs home, as that made it a 6-5 lead still for AGWSR. Then ultimately Garrett Royster does ground out, and a nice play from the shortstop of the starting pitcher tonight of Clay Buseman, but he was over at shortstop after the sub of Tristan Dennis, and ultimately Lane Olson at the pitcher's mound to end the night and close out this 6-5 victory. But again, congratulations to the Cougars of AGWSR. If you follow AGWSR baseball and softball, your Fort Dodge trip is not over. You will be back here tomorrow, Cougars fans, as AGWSR softball will face St. Edmonds as well back here tomorrow. Not the same field, obviously. It will be more of a softball field, but it's literally right next door, a part of Harlan Rogers Sports Complex. So if you couldn't make the trip out here tonight listening here with us, you still have a chance to come out here to Harlan Rogers for AGWSR softball. That will be tomorrow. I believe one of our sister stations will have coverage of that, a part of Radio On The Go Media. Make sure to check out our YouTube page here on Radio On The Go for all of postseason baseball and softball here in the central Iowa area. And another congratulations to AGWSR. Just a wonderful performance tonight. I'm going to try to wrap up here because I want to get to Taco Tico. They close at 10 o'clock. Did you know that? I'm trying to get some tacos, and I need a little bit of a reward for myself for making 2 trips over here to Fort Dodge, one on Friday and one on Tuesday here tonight for AGWSR baseball. But again, congrats to the Cougars tonight. 6-5 victory will be, I believe they'll probably make the trip over to Ankeny for Ankeny Christian for that district final. I do not have a result for you, but I believe they play at North Polk. That will most likely be their next venue. They will play on the 11th, which I believe is this Friday. No, it's actually this Saturday, sorry. So Saturday will be the next day for AGWSR, a part of their regional district final, district final, most likely against Ankeny Christian, but do not have a final result for you, unfortunately. But either way, congrats to AGWSR as they move on to the district final, getting the win over St. Edmonds tonight, 6-5. We'll see you next time. Back for AGWSR softball, part of Radio on the Go Media for you Cougars fans out there. But enjoy your night and make sure to be tuning in for more postseason baseball and softball all throughout here with us here at Radio on the Go on YouTube.
Tonight's game was made possible by GNB Bank, Hanson Family Hospital, Ellsworth Community College. This has been a special sports presentation of KDAO.